Yes, yes, yes. It is the Castworthy podcast, and we are back. It is December 1st, Sagittarius season, and it's a three-man gang. Myself, Big Steve, aka Last with Dying Breed, on X. I need to go to that blue stream or whatever the fuck that other shit is called. Get off of X. Joined today by VP, the research person, and EJ, the sophisticated savage one who just wants us to see his undercarriage, you know, giving, giving us showing us his grays, birthdays is coming and shit. And we're here, man. We off for 2 weeks. We was off for 2 weeks. A lot going on, some vacationing, some holidaying, some chilling, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but it is time to get back to the get back. It is go time. It's Q4 starting to round down. We got a new year coming, so it's time to get going. What's up, gentlemen? How are you guys?
I'm busy.
You getting gas at the gas station?
Yeah, buddy. Gotta gas up.
I don't even know
33
what that's
though.
like no more. I don't even know what that's like no more. I just plug the whip in at home. We don't do that no more. We don't do that peasantry. Gas. What we talking about? That
Listen,
ahead of the tariffs.
you need petroleum when it's 30 degrees out here, brother.
Yeah. Yeah. We got a little cold front here in Florida. As you can see, VP got on his hoodie and mountain man beard action going. So you know what time it is. He's coming off of a week full of dressing, what he would call weekend full of dressing and Thanksgiving food. How was y'all Thanksgiving? Anything festive?
Um, I mean, for me, it was straight. The food typically is just the best part for me. But everything we had this week, my stomach didn't agree with. So I had a plate on Thursday, got a refill, and then I'm lactose intolerant, so I took the risk with the mac and cheese. Of course, paid for it. So I assumed that was the issue. So the next day when I did leftovers, I didn't get any mac and cheese, and same result. So I was like, I guess it's something that's not agreeing with me. So I'm done. So
Maybe I'll just eat some more mac and cheese then. Shit, don't punish yourself. Pantoprazole, that's what you need to get. Get you some pantoprazole. That'll fix your stomach. That's what I've been taking.
Yeah. I actually tried almond milk this week for the first time. I kept saying it was straight. I kept saying I was going to try it just so I can have cereal, and I just kept putting it off, and finally did it. So
you got the plain joint, or you got the sweet and vanilla joint?
The vanilla.
Okay, yeah. So you basically drink candied water. that's what the vanilla almond milk tastes like. It tastes like water with a bunch of like vanilla flavoring and sugar in it.
I put it in smoothies. It's pretty good.
It is good. It's good. I mean, it does a trick, especially if you put it with the right cereal, and you get all the flavors going and shit. What about you, EJ? Anything for Thanksgiving?
Nah, Thanksgiving kept it pretty simple. Kept it pretty simple. Hit the bar and yeah, and that was it. I went to Friendsgiving before that, so I had my little Thanksgiving experience then. But yeah, just hit the bar. It was pretty light. Um, got some bar food, watched some football, went home. Wasn't too much.
Yeah, it was. We're seeing how football and streaming and stuff is turning so corporate, man. I mean, games on Thursday, games on Friday. We got games coming on Christmas again. Like Goodell is just trying. He's chasing that buck wherever he can get it, yo. Wherever he can get it.
I was saying to somebody here over Thanksgiving, we was watching the game, and I was like, we were talking about the Christmas day, and the person was pointing out that they saw somebody who said like, man, Christmas Day you should be for basketball, and now it's like football trying to take over. And I was like, yeah, football's already almost damn near a year-round sport because we follow it nonstop, even in the off season. And I was like, Adam Silver should probably work out some kind of deal with Goodell on like how many games, etc. Because if they
Uh-huh.
just let things like go the way they're going, the NFL is going to take over Christmas as well, and nobody's going to be watching NBA games. The ratings are going to be down like crazy.
You're right. And you know what? And the NBA is already on its way down because Bron is on his last leg. Like your
Mhm.
cash cow, they still haven't found who that next person is going to be. LaMelo can't talk. He think he in the hood every time he get interviewed. So as good as he is, he can't be your next spokesperson. Like Ja Moran out there shooting people up still. Like it just you don't even know who your next star is at this point. So the NBA is struggling, and Goodell is just like, well, we just gonna come in, and we're gonna get down to lay down, and take over. Because if you look at what was it, Black Friday, right? Black Friday they had basketball games. They had the Knicks game early at noon, and then when the NFL game came on, NBA just stopped. They ain't have nothing going on.
Mhm.
So usually, because usually when the NBA does their games, they'll do a 12 o'clock, then they'll do a 3 o'clock after the 12 o'clock game, then a 6 o'clock. The normal shit. They give you 4 or 5 games, whatever. But they did their 12 o'clock, and then the next game wasn't until like 4:30, 5 o'clock after NFL was in the second half, close to being done. They had to dodge that bullet. They had to dodge that bullet because they just wasn't. They'll never get those ratings, up against the NFL. And
But
Goodell just seemed to not care.
but I think that you mean Silver, but I got you. Um, I think that part of the problem with the NBA and is Steve's favorite guy Nick Wright pointed this out, and he says that he thinks that Adam Silver needs to get a hold of this because it's going to become a problem. Is that 3-point shooting is way up in the NBA, and he was like, people don't watch NBA games to see people jack up threes. They're watching for dunks, for backing guys down, going to the hole, layups, etc. And you have a team like the Celtics who are shooting 50, 60 threes a game. Most teams take 90 shots in a game, and the Celtics in some games are shooting over 60 threes. And he was like, that shit is boring and it's going to make people tune out. The ratings are already down. And he's like, if they don't get control of this shit, they're going to lose a large portion of the audience. And that kind of hit home for me because I've talked to you guys in chat and on pod previously about the fact of excessive 3-point shooting is one reason why I don't really care to watch college basketball.
Or
And
WNBA.
right. And if that's the way that the NBA is going to go, it'll make me as a fan want to tune out some as well and not watch because I just don't like all that 3-point shooting.
I definitely agree with that, and I think it's a combination, the personality, like, and then you look at, what we're recovering from the front loading of talent. You got teams like Philly. When you watch a Philly game, who's going to be playing? Paul George is hurt. Embiid is we don't know. Um, then you got Dallas. You got Kyrie. You got Luca, but if Luca's out, is it entertaining? And then you have the same problem that BP's talking about with the 3 pointers. So then when you look across the league, you got young teams like OKC, but they're OKC. They play when people are sleeping. Then you got other teams, other markets where there's no real heroes, there's no real villains, there's no real, dogs out there. It's like, why do you really even want to watch it?
Yeah, and I don't know how they fix that, but I know one way they're not going to fix that is by continuing to appeal to the European market, because that's a big part of everything overseas is the 3-point shooting. As we know, these guys that come over here tend to be 3-point specialists from wherever they come from. So the fact that Silver's trying to branch out, and we're seeing that, we saw it in the draft. Like we're seeing teams grab these guys. Like this year's draft, you're looking like, yo, why is this guy from Scandinavia being picked over one of the best kids in college here? So we see the branch out happening. Chet Holmgren, big big guy, right? I know he's from America, but you get what I mean. Um, these guys are the ones that we're depending on to kind of keep us with the inside game. You know, the Chets, the Embiid, you know, the big men. But like VP said, people are not watching for the 3 point. People are not watching for the back downs anymore. It's for, you know, the exciting drive to the basket, the John Morant type players. Like, we just need more of those. But as we get further and further into time, these kids are growing up watching Steph Curry, and they want to be shooters and don't want to be, you know, going to the hole, risking injury to their knees or their backs or whatever by falling. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know that the NBA is going to be able to fix that.
And how much is that lack of competitive, drive to actually want to, see some fierce competition, right? Because we came up in the '90s, watching the '90s basketball, where guys may not have always hated each other, but they played like it. You know what I mean? These cats, you can tell it's just another check, it's another day off. It ain't those rivalries. You're not feeling like, okay, it's Knicks Pacers, it's Knicks Heat, somebody gonna get to it. The personality of the game just feels completely different to me.
That's why you need more of homeboy from Houston. What's his name? They used to play for Memphis. Uh,
Bane,
what is it?
Desmond, what is it, Bane, the light skin kid?
No, I'm talking about the dude that be starting fights with everybody.
I
VP
thought his
knows.
name
Yeah. I know you're talking about with the braids.
Brooks, Dylan Brooks, Dylan
Dylan
Brooks.
Dylan
Brooks.
Brooks. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay.
You need more people like that because, like you said, I mean, at least to counteract some of the everyone's a bestie type shit. Like, it does get a little boring watching these dudes, you know, want to be friends all the time. You know, in the middle of a game, like, at least be competitive. You know, through the game, you could do what you want before and after. You do what you want on your social media. You can do what you want to try and build your brand so that after basketball you have something, you know, whether it's podcasting or broadcasting or whatever that looks like. All of that is fine. But, you know, in the game, like, we want to see competition. We see it in football. We see these dudes screaming at each other. We see these dudes taking low hits, and then after the game, they hug it out and shit. So, I think that's the entertainment value for us as Americans, as humans. We just like violence, yo. We like it, unfortunately. Hey, real quick, speaking of violence, and this has nothing to do with violence, but is Trump's plane a Boeing?
Probably.
Yes. Come on. There is a so you're saying there's a chance.
Oh my god.
There's a
So
will, there's a way.
so you're saying there's a chance. Just something that popped into my head real quick.
Oh my
Um um Yeah, man. Thanksgiving just didn't feel like Thanksgiving this year. Like, it just seemed. I know VP probably the same for you because TJ didn't come home, right?
Nah, he didn't come home, man. The plane tickets to fly from Chicago to back home were mad expensive. So
Mm-hmm.
what we did was we sent him to my sister-in-law because she lives in Wisconsin, and so he went up there and did Thanksgiving with them. He is actually at the airport right now, getting ready to return to Chicago.
Chi-town.
Yeah. So and that kind of worked out for us too because when we talked in chat about like the stuff that he needed in terms of winter gear, I went and bought the coat that EJ suggested, but like the other stuff, like the boots and the thermals and stuff like that y'all were suggesting, I wasn't sure like on sizes. And TJ's a big kid, so he needs to try that stuff on. So
Mm-hmm.
when he went up there, she basically took him shopping and got like all the rest of the stuff that he needs. So he got the boots, the gloves, thermals, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So we told him basically, we were like, yo, you ain't gonna be doing nothing while you're there. So just pack like 4 days worth of clothes, so that way your suitcase could be empty, and then bring back all the stuff that you're getting while you're there.
Yeah, and they're gonna. I mean, because of the climate up there, they're gonna have more stores and more options than you would find here. I mean, you'd have to do your online stuff to get the extensive stuff. So he was in Wisconsin, where it's definitely cold, and so there's
Yeah.
no question that he had lots and lots of options to find the right sizes and even competitive in pricing. So that's a
Yeah.
good thing.
Yeah.
That's a good
So
thing.
he got all that squared away, and yeah. So now, but he's coming home for Christmas. We booked his flight. He'll be back home mid December.
Yeah, you might have to start getting like creative for the next few years. Start looking at like flights into Tampa or flights into Miami, and then like a one-way rental might be cheaper than getting the flight directly to Orlando, because Orlando being such a major hub and a tourist area, the flights coming in, like when we went to Utah, we were in Utah last week, the week before Thanksgiving. And we had some Delta credits and stuff like that. Shout out to Delta too, by the way. Real good experience. I'm probably gonna move to them. I'm probably gonna, I do JetBlue for everything, but I fucks with Delta. But the flights out to Utah weren't that much, right? As you would expect,
Yeah.
small town, small airport and shit. Not too many flights going there. But coming back was crazy. It was just like out of control coming back into Orlando. We just,
Yeah.
we got lucky because um we took a direct later flight to come back. And then I got lucky. This is where I said shout out to Delta. I woke up that morning and it was snowing, and I was like, damn, yo, our flight's not supposed to get back to East Coast time till it's almost midnight. And I
Hmm.
didn't want it to snow and get delayed. And then we're looking at flying in and getting here 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, or
Right.
something like that. So I was able to hop on the chat with Delta and text them back and forth. And I changed to like a 10 a.m. flight leaving out of there, and got over here. It was 4 o'clock. So and it was easy work. I hit him up. I'm like, yo, there's no seats together. We got a 6-year old. We need seats together. She was like, all right, we prioritize it. She was like, I got you a whole row here. Go ahead and book your upgrade. It was like $75 each ticket or whatever.
Yeah.
Quick upgrade to the new flight, and then she just gave us we didn't even have to pay for the upgrade on the seats. And then when we got on, homeboy walked by the aisle, and his wife was across from us, and he's like, "Oh, I got moved to 36 or some shit, all the way in the back." And I'm like, "Well, sucks to be you, big homie."
You
Yeah.
might have did him a favor.
For real, for real. But especially 36, he was probably sitting back there with the stewardess, and the back plane stewardess has some back plane on her.
No.
Sure enough, little something. Every time she walked to go get the damn snack, she bumped my shoulder. I had the aisle seat. Bumped
Yeah.
my shoulder with that thing.
I've had a couple of flights like that. It's like, whoa.
Like, girl, you better stop.
Yeah.
But yeah, 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 exactly. Can I get some nuts? Uh, Delta was good though. The flight was they got the TVs, the entertainment is dope. Like from the time you get on the plane, that's like one of the things that's great. Like especially Ash is atypical, right? He's on the spectrum, and so immediately getting on the plane, having the video available, not having to wait till takeoff or nothing is super beneficial. Like with JetBlue, you got to wait till you take off and get to like cruising altitude before the Wi-Fi pops on and shit. Delta, you pop on, Wi-Fi is already ready to go on the plane, so we were able to connect his iPad and keep it moving. I was able to turn the game on. Our flight was leaving. It was like 20 minutes after the game started. I'm watching the game while people are still getting on the flight. Like it's just super convenient to keep your mind off of getting nervous about
Yeah.
takeoff and shit if you're that type of person, because you're just sitting there chilling. And then the flight was super cool. Like on the way out, it was probably the smoothest flight I've ever taken. I've taken a lot of flights, but going to Utah, and you figure flying down into mountains in between, in the winter time, you would expect it to be a little bumpy because of the wind and shit.
Yeah.
Going
That's
in,
why I
it
went
was,
to Denver.
yeah, it was smooth as shit. Super smooth. Like, and then on the way back, similarly, we had a little bit of turbulence, nothing too crazy. Not like enough to make people scream like I've seen before going into like Jamaica and shit. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think I'm gonna grab me a little Delta card and probably shift gears from JetBlue over that way.
Yeah. That's cool.
But Utah,
I was I was gonna ask you, how was the Utah experience in Ashton, the snow and the small town living, I guess.
yeah, it's crazy. Couple things, right? Like before I left, I'm like, damn, yo, Utah. Okay. I said, "Hey Siri, what's the what's the population of black people in Utah?" And she's like, "Oh, according to the U.S. Census, it's 1.0% black people in the state of Utah." You know what I mean? And then I'm like, "Oh, we're going to Park City, whatever. What's the percentage of black people?" Oh, 0.03% black people according to the census. And I'm like, oh, "Okay." Um, but I got off the plane. We seen, I guess, the colleges and stuff. There's a lot of us out there. There's a lot of us out there. Not a lot. Let me take that back. There's some of us out there. But what there is a lot of, you'd be surprised. There's a lot of Mexicans for it being a red state, and for people, claiming they hate, Mexicans and stuff. There's a lot of Mexicans everywhere you go. Every store you go into, every business, like the workers are all Mexicans. And then there's tons of Mexican food chains, restaurants, and food trucks out there. Like and I guess it's because you're getting closer to the West Coast, but
Yeah.
lots of Mexican food out there. And really nice, man. It's really nice. Like, I got off the plane, like went to the bathroom, and I'm like, yo, this is crazy. I see why they don't want us there, because we would mess that shit up. Like the bathrooms was like pristine, that good wood, not like the bullshit wood to make up the stalls. The stalls was, ceiling to floor. Like, it was super, super clean. And then really small townish out there. Like, we went to Christmas tree lighting, and I'm like, let's leave early, so we don't get caught in traffic. And you forget when you live in these big towns like here, Orlando, you get caught in traffic and everything. And especially if you're going to an event, you're looking at 30, 45 an hour, at times getting in and out of that event because of traffic. You forget, like, these smaller towns, it ain't like that. We got in like 4 minutes sitting in traffic, turn right in. I'm looking at the carolers and shit. I'm looking at the trees, and I'm like, yo, it's like 50 people out here, yo. Like, I got more people in my building at work than there's out here at this, this tree lighting event for this city, Um, but it was nice, man. It's scenic, like it's like out of a movie. The most beautiful thing I've ever seen, like breathtaking, seeing those mountains. Like, you would know if you guys been to Denver and shit. Similar out here, is just the same. Like, everywhere you go, the backdrop is like a fucking Lifetime movie. You watch and you're like, man, this is just like I was taken back, yo. I was lost. Like, yo, this is beautiful.
Yeah, it's definitely like that, man. I felt that way when I went to Denver. But yeah, that's small town. I always tell people, man. Me growing up, born and raised in Miami, I never thought I would enjoy small towns. And when I was in the military, the place I was stationed in North Carolina, that was actually too small. I didn't enjoy that. But when I got stationed in Beaufort in South Carolina, still small town, but bigger, and not as big as like Orlando, but bigger than the place I was in North Carolina. And I really enjoyed that, man. It's quiet, it's peaceful.
Yep.
Everything is kind of just steady as you go. And like, even like traffic, like I remember like sometimes there was like an event happening in downtown Beaufort, and it's like, man, traffic was crazy downtown Beaufort. It took me like 10 minutes to get over the bridge. Like, right. You know what I'm saying? Whereas like here, it's like, man, traffic in downtown Orlando was crazy, man. It take me like an hour to get that to park, So
yep.
So yeah, man, it's something that's very enjoyable, man. And for me, obviously I can't speak for everybody, but like, you get used to it fast, and then when you leave it and come back to like big city living, and you see like how there's no hospitality, everybody's in a rush, people are assholes, it just makes you think like, damn, like, we're not gonna go back, take me back, you know what I'm saying?
That's another thing I expected, was to be sort of the odd man out. There's not a lot of us and shit, but like the hospitality going into the people were nice. Like, people were like, whatever, you're just a person, like treated you human. It wasn't like Alabama or Mississippi, Missouri. Like, when you go small town, you one of us over there, is like, boy, you're in the wrong place. Over there, they're just like, hey, how you doing?
Hmm.
You know, you doing all right? Oh, you know.
You still
So,
got to keep in the back of your mind, though.
oh, duh.
Yeah, that's how Pittsburgh would do you. You
That's
know,
how you.
especially if
That's how you
you,
disappear.
Hmm.
yeah, especially driving into Pittsburgh, you see, all the surrounding counties are clear, clear Trump territory. And then when you get to the city, you can see that it's a liberal kind of community. But then when the Trump counties and people come in, they make it pretty clear. But everybody kind of minds their business. But Pittsburgh is still one of them cities where they got their hood and everything. But even in that element, people stay where they are and they kind of stay to their own community. So it was definitely a throwback kind of old town feel, even though it was still a city, big city kind of.
Yeah, that's what like what you're speaking to, EJ. Kind of it reminds me of James Carville, who ran Bill Clinton's campaign in '92. He used to say about Pennsylvania is he was like, it's Pittsburgh on the west, Philly on the it's Pittsburgh on the west coast, Philly on the east coast, and Alabama in the middle. So
Yeah, I took a spin into some of the neighborhoods like in Salt Lake, just to kind of see what it was like, and even like the not nice neighborhoods were still nice. You know what I mean? Like it was like I didn't really find a hood. I mean, there's some spots that I probably wouldn't move into just because I'm at an age now where I have certain expectations of where I rest my head, but um still not really a bad spot. Not a lot of panhandling, not a lot of homelessness. We did see, some people giving out clothing and food and lots of signs all over, donate so that we don't have, you know, homelessness and panhandling and stuff like that. So they seem to be pretty aware of that type of stuff out there, trying to kind of minimize it, which is pretty cool. Um, but yeah, it's nice, man. Like if I would definitely consider moving that way. I would definitely consider moving out there. Quiet, like and really that little towns like that. That's where you go if you're hiding. Like if I committed a crime and I had to hide, that's where I'm going. I'm going to Park City, Utah. Y'all catch me if you can in these mountains. Beautiful, man. Beautiful. But looking forward to this next month is December 1st, Sunday, December 1st. It is Sagittarius season. EJ has a birthday coming within the next week or so, as do I. But he is the young, uh, irresponsible one. So he's probably going to be out there, like boozy. Put your
don't
pussy on my face. I give you $1.
right when you were on vacation, I hit up EJ on Saturday. I was like, "Yo, are we podding tomorrow? Because Steve's out of town, And then he responded and said, "That's a good question." And then I didn't hear from him again until Monday.
Until yesterday. Even
Hey man, I was no good by the time you hit me up. I was no good. I was done.
Sagittarius season, man. You got plans? You said you was gonna hit a little brunch up and chill. What
Absolutely,
you 40 this
absolutely.
year? No, you only 39 this year.
5 years younger than you.
Bitch, I don't even know how old I am. So you're 39, right? You
Man,
turning 39.
tell me about it.
I
People ask
think.
me how old I am. I'm 43.
Oh,
My wife's like, "You're 42." I'm like,
dog, I
wait.
don't
And
know.
I start
Yeah, I
doing the
don't know
math.
how old
Like,
I am right now. I don't even know how old I am. I think I'll be. What year are we in? 24, right? Yeah, I'll be 43.
24.
I'll be
Yeah,
43.
I just turned 43.
Yeah, so he's about to turn 38.
Yeah,
But I'm
but I've
feeling
been
good,
43
man.
for like 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, I feel good though at 43, 42, going on 43. Besides this cool weather, like I could feel it. I could
Yeah.
feel it. Like you remember back in the day, people be like, "Oh, I feel it in my hips when the cold is coming," and
Hmm.
you'd be like, "Yeah," and then you would start saying that as you got older, just kind of joking. But like yesterday, I woke up and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" I went outside to go put the Christmas lights up, and I went to go step up on the ladder, and my hip was like, "Nah, you're not going on this ladder." like
Hmm.
it. I had to grease it up a little bit, get it moving because yeah, it's that time, man. It's that
Yeah,
time.
it's like that shit start happening all at once. Some you don't even notice it sometimes. Like you get off the couch and you're like, oh, when you stand up, whereas before you usually just stand pop right up like it was nothing. Get to the top of
Yeah,
the stairs, you got to take a deep breath, like whoo. You know?
I did notice that when I was over there when they talk about the altitude. The first day we got there, we went to get some pizza, and I was like, "Hey, y'all got a restroom?" And they're like, "Yeah, right down the steps." And I'm like, "Oh man, this is how all the scary movies start." All right, I'll go down the steps. I'll go down in the basement, use the restroom, clean the shit, of course, still. Come back upstairs, get to the top. It was only like 7 steps. I get to the top of the steps, and I'm like, whew, I felt like I ran a damn marathon.
So you wait,
Damn,
hey sweetie, can you bring a glass of water to my table?
yeah, that damn altitude got me. Y'all got some albuterol y'all can give me with my pizza? Like, it was, oh man, I was fucked up in the hood. Um, that's that age catching up, but yeah, man, I don't know. I don't really have no major plans, but I'm probably gonna be irresponsible next weekend. I don't know what that consists of, but I think I'm gonna show out a little bit. You doing anything irresponsible for your birthday, EJ?
I mean, just the normal, man. Honestly, I go out
Oh
every
yeah,
time I go out.
you always at the bar, so no change.
Yeah, every time I go out, it's like my birthday. You know,
Yeah, that's also that small town feeling that you miss. Like, even though Baltimore is a big city, it's still small town as you get into your areas, like where you guys be
absolutely,
chilling and shit. And
absolutely.
I kind of miss that. Like, I miss that about back home. Like on birthday, I could have zero plans, pop into a spot and see people, like people don't really have that out here. So, but I'm gonna figure something out. I'm
Yeah,
telling
I mean, just celebrating more life, man. That's it. At the end of the day, right? Just celebrating more life
you.
and having fun.
I'm gonna go get
Yeah.
myself. I don't know what I'm gonna buy myself, but I'm gonna buy myself something nice. I don't know what it is. I have no clue. It might be just like it might just be a nice hat. It don't even matter. But I don't usually get myself right on my birthdays. But we gotta start living for us, man. Tom-
Absolutely.
Tomorrow is not promised.
Yeah.
Not
Uh,
at all.
and we're going into 2025. We're gonna have a new set of leaders, I guess you can call it, and people running the country. So we'll see things changing. So now is the time to be responsible because in the next 4 years, you may not have it to be irresponsible if you got it today.
I mean that's true, but shit, I would say the opposite just because you may need it
Yeah.
in the coming years.
With
I
the
was
our president
I
has
mean,
to
yeah,
step down.
yeah, like y'all know I've been like extremely disappointed since the election, with the result and stuff. And I just keep seeing stuff where I'm like, the folks who, I don't know if they were punishing Kamala, if they were, whatever, if they think it was going to be better under Trump and all this kind of stuff. But like, the little bit that I have been tuned in, I'm like, these people have just fucked themselves. You know what I mean? Like they're talking about denaturalizing citizens. So you immigrated here, got naturalized, you're a citizen now. They're talking about taking away your
Good.
naturalization and
Good.
deporting you. And
Bye
I mean,
bye.
that's for me. I feel the same way, but at the same time, I have to worry about that because my dad is
Yeah.
a naturalized citizen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like I don't have to worry about it, but I mean, for my dad,
Yeah.
same with my stepmom. They're already talking about, like, for you two guys, your one of your top issues, student loans, that even though y'all feel like Biden didn't go far enough, right? They're talking about reversing everything that he's done on student loans or whatever. So, you
Fine
know,
with me. It don't impact me. I ain't lose shit. I still won't
so
lose nothing from that. Again, this is the people that want
mhm.
to make these decisions, And while I'm sensitive to those that can be impacted that were thinking the right way, I am 100% desensitized, insensitive, zero care for the people that are impacted negatively that
Yeah.
thought that it was going to be, the better decision. I can't fucking wait to see that shit. Like, it's like a movie. It's like waiting for the next Avengers movie for me, just so I can hit them with the "I told you so," just so I
Yeah.
could put the post up and say, remember when. I can't wait. I can't, because I am not impacted at all. I'm an American citizen and I have a small family.
But
It's
they're not.
me and my
But
family members here and EJ.
those
Is
same
it?
people, Steve. They're not. Those same people not gonna. They're not gonna attribute their hardship to Trump. They're gonna do everything that they can to tell themselves it's not him.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Because if they knew any better, or if they actually had sense enough, they would know that now. So these are the same people that don't have a pot to piss in, or give 50% of their earnings to their church.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
EJ is absolutely right. You know, those folks when things happen, because I mean, one, you have to. So I mean, and this is just politics 101 or whatever. You know, Biden did it as well. Trump will do it. Anything that goes bad, they'll say it was Biden's fault, and those people will say, "Oh yeah, 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 Biden did this," and it's like, well, how come he had to, how come he didn't fix it for you then if it went wrong? But they won't rationalize it that way. They'll just say whatever is going wrong in my life is not his fault. It's not because of his policies or whatever, and therefore it's not my fault for voting for him. So and these folks, the ones who have family members or like their spouse are here illegally or undocumented, and when they get deported, the folks
Bye
who are
bye.
on government assist, like they're talking about cutting back food stamps or the SNAP program like
Bye bye.
heavily. These folks who are on Section 8 and all kind of, like these people are about to have a rude awakening in 2025, and they have nobody to blame, but themselves.
Dog, I don't even care no more, yo. I
Yeah.
really don't. I
Like
really
like
don't.
I
Like,
I listen to a podcast and I hear folks saying, I don't necessarily disagree with this, but I can't like buy into it wholesale either. And they talk about, people like me basically who say, oh, well, it's basically like the argument that we have in chat and on this podcast where I'm saying these are what the economic indicators are saying, yada yada yada. And you guys are like, fuck that. This is what people are saying. It's hard out here, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I get that, right? But at the same time, this dude isn't offering you anything that is gonna be different, that's gonna be better. You know what I mean? So I get that you're saying it's hard and rent's high and inflation and the groceries, all that kind of stuff like that. I get it. But at the same time, what is he saying that's gonna be different except that it's bad under Joe Biden, vote for me.
right?
And I don't see how that was enough for people, but it was. We're here now. You know what I mean? So they got to live with that shit when the hammer drops.
I can't
yeah.
wait
It's
that shit
it's
to happen.
VP is less about the facts. It's less about the even when we talk about feel, it's just I think it's more so just appealing to what they think and what they can believe or what you can make them believe, right? And that's really what it is because to your point, it's not going to feel any better. For a lot of these people, it's going to feel a lot worse. And again, their knowledge base is going to tell them differently because they like being lied to. They like being pissed on and told it's raining. That's what American people like. They like the feel good, mindless lifestyle where they don't have to think about anything. They don't have to take anything serious. They don't have to be excited about their politics or informed. They want everything to be told to them, and they want to just believe whatever they want to believe. So,
Right.
I mean, they're gonna feel worse, but because their knowledge base is so small, so dumb, they're gonna say, Trump gave us the stimmies, and it's just bad, man. We don't live in a real country. Like this country, by and large, is not in reality. You know, the people in the small towns, they don't care about voting red because their way of life is their way of life, and they get to do what they do. But in these cities, the people that bought into this whole idea of just knowing Republican history, you know, it's not going to go well for you. Take Trump out of it. Just knowing Republican history is not going to go well for you. But you know, they don't live in the real place in their own mind.
Yeah, I mean, you have folks who the best example I can think of is I saw I saw one of the channels I watched. They had a post from a guy on Twitter who was like, he voted for Trump simply because he wants them to repeal Obamacare. He was like, Obamacare sucks or whatever. I get my health coverage through the ACA, and the ACA is awesome. We need to get rid of Obamacare. And then somebody responded to him and was like, hey, you fucking idiot. The Affordable Care Act is Obamacare. They're the same thing. And then he was like, he responded to that person, and the guy's like, why would they have two different names for it? That's so dumb. Obama is bad. Why would they call it Obamacare? And somebody responded to him, they called it Obamacare to associate it with the black man, so you'd hate it because he's black. Gotcha. And now this dude is like, oh shit, like what am I gonna do? Because I'm gonna lose my health care. You know what I mean? And to EJ's point about people being stupid, it reminds me of in 2010 when that whole Tea Party shit was happening, and you had people with signs that said, keep your government hands off my damn Medicare. And it's like, are you serious? Like, you know what I mean? Medicare is the government, you fucking idiot, But in these states where they've set up these exchanges, like in Kentucky, for example, their Obamacare exchanges are called KinCare. So some people who live in Kentucky don't even know that they're on Obamacare. They think that they're getting some kind of state-run healthcare or whatever. And I mean, they technically are, but it's through Obamacare, And in Tennessee, I think they call theirs 10 care or something like that. But the same thing. And then even people who are the folks in that category that we're talking about who's saying, yo, it's hard out here, grocery prices, gas price, whatever, right? These folks may think, well, I don't actually get Obamacare. I get my coverage through Medicaid, right? A large portion of people who get healthcare coverage through Obamacare gets it through the parts of Obamacare that expanded Medicaid. You know what I mean? And so if they repeal Obamacare, those things are going away. Keeping your kid on coverage until they're 26, gone. Insurance companies not being able to deny you coverage for pre-existing conditions, gone. No lifetime caps on coverages, gone. So you got a kid who had cancer, you got some kind of bad condition, even though you're only 20 or 30, and you use a shit ton of healthcare. All those protections for you are gone when they repeal Obamacare, because you believe like an idiot when Trump told you, I have a concept of a plan and it's going to cover more people, be better, and cost less. Like that, like what right now, think about anything in your life and think about upgrading it for less. It's going to be bigger, better, and cost less. That shit just doesn't exist.
Yep. I mean, the reality is they're just going to listen to for the next 4 years when they struggle. It's just going to be Trump and his people saying this is because of Biden. This is because it's going to take us time to overturn the stuff that Biden was dealing with. That's what they're basically going to tell them, and they're going to believe it, and that's fine. That's perfectly fine. I can't wait to see some of these people have to deal with, immigration, and, they think they're safe today and they're not. Like, I really can't. I really cannot wait. I had a conversation with somebody the other day that just, I don't want to go too much into it because they'll know who I'm talking about, but you're an immigrant. Like, you are an immigrant. They're like, no, Trump is better for us. I'm gonna make so much more under him. I do roofs. I can jump. I can make so much money doing roofing here in Florida. Blah blah blah. All right, dog. You got it, Chief. You're not gonna be here in Florida. Just know that.
They bought into the whole, oh, it's only the bad ones they're gonna get. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because how well did that work out for the good ones last time? But instead of people, and it comes back to the point that I make on here, that I've asked you guys consistently in chat and in here, when I say, like, what's the voters' responsibility? You know what I mean? Because you have a person like Steve is talking about who's saying, oh, it's going to be all good for me. I'm going to be making all this money doing roofing, et cetera, et cetera. When a quick Google search could have just told you about all the quote unquote good ones who they deported the first time. You know what I mean? And so, seniors who consistently vote for Republicans because they want their taxes to be low and all the benefits that they've gotten from gaming the system, during their early years, 20s and 30s, back in the 60s and 70s, right? They've reaped all those benefits. And so they consistently vote Republican to ensure that those benefits stay locked in, right? But things that Biden did for them, like capping their prescription drug costs at $2,000 a year, when they repealed the Inflation Reduction Act, that shit is gone. So now your drug prices are going back through the roof or whatever. These folks have a rude awakening coming for them in the next few years here.
I can't wait. I mean, I am tickled pink, waiting for this to all start to hit the fan. Like, I can't wait to watch some of these people struggle that that deserve it, right? Like, I do still feel bad that there's going to be people impacted that really don't deserve. I do have a soft place in my heart for those people, but I think I'm happier to watch some of these other people that are struggling today continue to struggle or get worse. That's going to be the good part for me. That we're sitting there saying, "Oh no, we got to go this way, we got to go that way." All right, you got it, Chief.
And what's the larger problem that I think for some of these people that they don't realize is that, we'll see what happens, right? Because, like, to EJ's point, right, we're a fickle people, right? But you have folks in the Black community who online, they're like, yo, I'm done. I'm not showing up to your protests. I'm not showing up to your march. Miss me with your fucking hashtags or whatever. I'm gonna do me just like y'all doing y'all. Don't call me to support you on anything. And a lot of those Black voices, Black women especially, are the folks who show up to those events, protests, marches, making phone calls, hassling members of Congress to not vote a certain way on a certain piece of legislation or whatever. And these people are saying, "Yo, I'm checking out. I'm done. I'll see you in 2026." You know what I mean? Don't ask me for help. You know what I mean? And don't ask me to knock on doors for your pet project to get this thing on the ballot or whatever, because y'all did this shit. So now you suffer through.
I agree. It's gonna be It's gonna be a lot of interesting stuff to come. Last time we talked about some things that people can do to kind of just prepare themselves for it. And I've been trying to look at some of that stuff, but like, to your point, stacking up some of the cash that you have. Don't get caught in this this short-sighted crypto boom that people are telling you is here, right? Because all it takes is for a 12-hour period where you're sleeping and don't pay attention, and you can easily lose that money. Like, being financially responsible now to prepare for it is super important. Stocking up on the stuff that you feel like is gonna go away. Like we talked about, the Plan B pills and stuff like that. Like, if you're somebody that is irresponsible with your sex life and you depend on that today, then you should probably plan to purchase some of that now before it goes away. It has a pretty good shelf life, and hold on to it. Just stuff like that, like to prep for the next few years. It sounds, crazy, but I don't know if there's anything else. You probably have thought about more responsible stuff than me, VP.
Well, what I would tell you, Steve.
I want to jump in real quick on what you said, VP, about the folks that are, pretty much fed up, and I get it. And this is why I always talked about how black folks got to stop trying to champion other people's things. You know, they allow people to believe that feminism was going to help black women, and statistically, feminism in this country has benefited the white women more than anything. And when it came down to it, and they needed to align with their female sister in Kamala, somebody who's trying to break a glass ceiling for all women around the world, they chose to go with the white man that told them he grabs by the pussy. And this is what happens. And at the end of the day, I tell black folks all the time, we're not a monolith, but we're black first. You can go to Denver, you can go to Pittsburgh, you can go to Utah, you can be gay, you can believe in whatever you want to believe in, but people are going to see that you're black first. And the moment
Mhm.
that you forget that, this nation going to remind you. And they did that in this election. We had a fully accomplished politician, fully accomplished black woman who was married to a white man, fully experienced, had all of your best interests at heart as a woman, as a liberal, as everything else that you can think of. And guess what? All of those votes that Joe got in the previous election, we couldn't get them this time. And it's largely all because she's black and she's a woman. So that should tell
Mhm.
you something.
Yeah, and that's I think that you're right, man. Because when you look at the results, really, the results are basically just the people who voted for Joe Biden didn't show up. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it is, right? Because in 2020, Trump got 71 million votes. This time around, it's going to be about 74, maybe 75. So he increased his vote total a little, which is that's standard, right? In every election, more people, the size of the country grows, more people become 18, et cetera, et cetera. So he expands his 2020 number by about 3 or 4 million votes. But Joe Biden got 81 million votes. And Kamala is, when all the votes are counted, we're still waiting on some stuff out of Arizona and California, et cetera. But once all the votes are counted, she's going to end up somewhere around like 72, maybe 73 million or something like that. So, you got 8 million or so folks who didn't show up to vote for whatever reason. You know what I'm saying? And so I mean, it's possible some of those people switched back to Trump or whatever. So, whether they switched or just didn't vote, still 8 million voters were lost between 2020 and 2024. So yeah, I mean that's a great point. But what I was going to say for you, Steve, I haven't really looked into things like that I may need to do for myself, but I know one thing that you need to do, and it's something I need to do as well. Maybe not to as large of an extent as you, is start looking into your son's IEP, because a lot of people don't realize this, that the IEPs are managed through the Department of Education. It's not a state thing, that's a federal thing. And so if you have a kid with special needs and you have an IEP for her, for that child, that is something that's ran through the Department of Education. They're talking about getting rid of the Department of Education. And so you need to, make sure you got your paperwork, start looking into resources and stuff like that, just to make sure that your kids, educational needs can try to be addressed as best as possible, because those are a group of people who are on the margins, that a lot of people aren't thinking about, that are going to be hurt, and they're going to be hit if they go through it, what they're talking about, they're going to be hit very hard, just because they're people, like I said, they're experiencing school at the margins.
Yep. Well, I mean, they'll be safe because, Vince McMahon's wife, like, she knows wrestling, so of course she's going to know how to deal with education, right?
Well,
Right,
she
exactly.
had a stint in her small time of education in Connecticut that wasn't it wasn't left without controversy and scandal. So even that small experience, she wasn't good in the state, let alone the nation. But back to VP's point about the Medicare and Medicaid, again, I work for Medicaid now, and you'd be surprised how many average citizens don't understand the difference. And again, this goes back to VP, how as Americans we're spoiled. The government provides things. We don't ask how, we don't ask why, we don't ask how as citizens we can contribute, how as citizens we can make it better, how as citizens we cannot take advantage of it. And to your point, and in some aspects, some people on the blue side will agree, all of that abuse of Medicaid and Medicare. Oh, you've got 5 kids now. You doing this, you doing that. Your child is having different behavioral experiences that you're getting Medicaid funding for that you probably shouldn't get it. But okay, now you're definitely not going to get it. So all of that aid that's got you living free and living well, and you're on, camera doing this and doing that. And to Steve's point, a harsh point that people don't like to address. And I also say culturally comes with a lack of education. Again, you've gone out there, you've made yet another child. You don't have a stable family system. And where you were getting more aid in a blue government, now you're definitely not going to get aid.
Mhm.
And that's a historic thing in this nation. And I do fault our party largely at these moments and junctures, because these are the times where we should be in the streets, in the community, educating people as to where this stuff comes from and how important it is, to get out and mobilize. But I mean, that is what it is, right? Nobody's saying we can't improve, but we're going to the other extreme to where you're not going to get it. So all of that you do, all that you say your church does for you, we gonna really see this time. Because I saw people during the Trump administration, who tithe and give all of this money to their local church, and many times did not get anything back. And I'm not attacking religion. I'm just saying that happens a lot more often than people want to admit. So all those religious zealots out there that they don't believe in this and that, and yeah, like we always used to say on this pod, you don't believe in the right to choose, but you also don't believe in the right to have to take care of them babies when they ain't got nowhere to go.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's a lot to unpack, but the reality of it is, um, it is I would you said most time. I would say, or you said sometime or many times. Most times, if not all the time, people don't get anything back from their church. What are they getting back from the church? They're giving half of their money to them, and they can go in there on, when it's food kitchen day or food pantry day, and they can get all the high sodium, high fructose corn syrup, foods that they get handed down to them from, expiring companies and shit, and they give them, $200 worth of food. Meanwhile, you've been giving them money all fucking year. Like it's out of control. Like how brainwashed and controllable people have become in our society, and that's how we got here. Like, from the church brainwashing you to now Trump brainwashing you to now Elon Musk brainwashing you to, everybody else that's telling you, those people that are over there, they are going to allow your son to be turned into a girl without you signing off on it. And that is so much more important than you being able to get health insurance. Affordable health insurance at that. Like, I know people that have their own small business. They got little fucking food trucks or whatever they got, right? You realize that the insurance that you're paying for, that's affordable for your kid today, because you don't work for a company that provides you insurance. It's affordable because of the administration that's in there. And once that goes away, all that little food truck money that you're making, that shit's going to get very, very expensive. But you're not thinking about that.
Right. I
Because
mean,
because you don't want your son to become a girl at school in a 4-hour period, and you not know that it's going to happen. They come home without their genitalia.
right. Like these folks are I didn't tell y'all about this or whatever. It was maybe like a month before the election. I was coming back home from a doctor's appointment, and I used the transportation service through the VA. And so it's just random person who, it's a company, but like, they got a bunch of drivers. So I don't think I've ever had the same driver twice. And the guy who picked me up, I mean, we got to talking, and this dude was, I mean, deep on the conspiracy theories. And one of the things he talked about was what Steve just said about how, kids go to school and they're giving them sex changes at the schools or whatever. And I'm sitting there like, what? Like, now I don't want to get into it with this dude or whatever. So I'm just like, wow, but in my mind, I'm like, this dude is out of his fucking mind. You know what I'm saying? But people believe that shit. Into like Steve's point, right? You're running a food truck and you're like, oh, I like X, Y, and Z that's happening, but they're letting kids get sex changes at school. I'm not cool with that. And it's like, dude, if you have a kid, you know that the school cannot give your kid a fucking ibuprofen for a headache without you signing off on that shit. Your kid can have their own prescription medication that's for them, prescribed by a doctor, and they won't give it to them unless you say it's okay. You know? So, but you think that they're performing surgery on kids at schools without telling? Like, come on, dog. It's like these people, like, to kind of to EJ's point. He didn't say this directly, but he somewhat alluded to it. Like, these people are fooling themselves into just believing nonsense or whatever, and you have to ask yourself why. And I have come back to the why of it. For me, I won't say, you guys can speak for yourselves. It's that it's better to have this incompetent, convicted felon found liable for sexual abuse white man as president over the black lady.
That's exactly what it is. I mean, look, we're at a point where, we've reached a point in society. Like, I think we were always there, but I think we've reached a point now where acceptance is at an all-time high. And the want and the need to be accepted for our people by a white person or by white people is at an all-time high. I think it's higher than anything. It's on the top of people's priority lists. The young rappers that look up and they see Trump and they see, money and they see power, and that's what they want. They're not looking up to, the Denzel Washington or the Obama and seeing the money or the power that way. They're not looking up to the Dr. Dre, who goes out and makes, a mogul out of himself and see money and power that way. They don't see the Joe Buddens who go out and fail and, overcome being, an addict to be a super successful individual in some way, through his podcast and through his network, and building money and power that way. They see the guy who's out there who can commit crimes, who can beat it, who has money, Trump, right? And that's what they want to be. They want that type of acceptance, and that's what they're looking forward to being. They want to still be able to go out there and live this life of, crime and violence and whatever else that, comes along with it, sexual abuse and mistreatment for women, and still be powerful and be able to get through with it. And I think that's where we've fallen as a society, especially a black society. And it's super unfortunate. And that's how we lead to this. So here we are, 2024. We'll go into 2025. We'll continue to watch it. Are we going to make it through it? Sure, we are. We gonna make it through, but it's gonna be some people that don't, and there's gonna be some people that come out on the other end very scathed. There's gonna be some people that come out on the other side far worse than they are today, and it's gonna be people like me that are gonna be on the other side. And when they put their hand out and ask for you to help them get out of that hole, I'm gonna just throw the dirt on top of you and say, "Look, this is where you belong. See you later." Unfortunate. That's my character. That's the person I am, and all I can say is fuck y'all. Mute.
It's gonna be tough when you or not tough, but you're gonna go on social media, and I promise you, anybody within the sound of my voice, you're gonna see that post with a GoFundMe saying, "Hey, my kid needs surgery," or my uncle have this problem or whatever. They and it's like, God, we told you. You know what I mean?
I put it on Facebook the other day. I said, when y'all MAGA Meemaw or Wella has a stroke because their blood pressure meds got discontinued, because RFK says, or that the shit is not necessary. Don't put no GoFundMe up. Don't put no GoFundMe up for it. When your kid breaks their leg, when the kid, ends up ill or sick, and you can't afford whatever's needed, whether it's the medication or, don't put no GoFundMe up. Or put it up, but don't put it on my timeline. Don't put it on my timeline, because I'm gonna be the asshole in the comments and I'm gonna look for all the smoke that comes along with it from all your friends and family. Because I'm gonna drop the shit in there and be like, you know what? 2 years ago, when you had access to Obamacare or to affordable health, this wouldn't be your problem. But remember when you said that eggs were too expensive? Remember when you didn't want to pay $3.19 for eggs? Well, they're $2.79 now. That's great. But your kid's
You, you
pancreas can't be taken out, and it's your fault.
you know what else is going to be interesting for me on that side of the fence is all of the people, law enforcement, that that sided with, you know, the MAGA and all of that. I mean, he's even coming for them. You know what I mean? And it's like, I don't think they see it. You know what I mean? He's even coming for them in certain ways and in certain little things. I mean, this dude, you know, hate him or love him, he gonna do what he want to do. And what he wants to do, we have no idea. It doesn't make any sense, seemingly for anyone. But I mean, the rest of this nation really doesn't see how much they're under attack, and it's sad because, you know, at the core of a lot of people's decisions was the sexism, was the racism, was their fear of liberal ways, I guess. I know a guy I played, you know, sports with, that I look at on his timeline, and he just seems to be angry at liberals, you know, and angry at liberal decision making. And a large part of what he says, I get it, as a, you know, it's the conservative bodies or bones in my body. But overall, it's like, is this worth the overall war? Is, you know, is this the hill you want to die on? And, and not realizing many of your other civil liberties are going to be taken from you, not realizing that you're still black and over 200 pounds in this nation. Like, I don't get it, man. And that's why I believe that as a nation, we are so far removed from reality. It's just, it doesn't make sense.
And I hear you, EJ, and I also don't get it, but I feel like I don't get it from the other side, right? And what I mean by that is that I come at these situations from a from the side, from the point of view of like, I don't care what people do. And it seems like people who are like against these things, they're like, oh, you know, people are using the wrong bathrooms, or pronouns or whatever. And it's like, why is this shit so upsetting to you? You know what I mean? Like, how is it impacting your life personally? Like, okay, like I get it if you're saying like it's from a financial point of view, like, oh, like to Steve point, the eggs are too high, or my rent keeps going up, or gas prices, whatever. If it's just an economic thing, okay, fine. I could make arguments against that, but again, fine. I don't know what you feel. I'm not in your wallet, right? But for the people who are upset about like these things that have literally no impact on their life at all, I just don't understand it. You know, it makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
Like Steve just was in Utah, and he posted a couple pictures in the chat, and one of them, they have the tampons, the tampon dispensary thing in the bathroom or whatever. And I don't know if you saw it because you was on vacation. I responded to you and said, did that turn your son gay? That he went in the bathroom that had a tampon dispensary. But people see that kind of shit and they get apoplectic about it, and it just makes no sense to me.
It's the fear of the unknown. It's always the fear of the unknown, VP. That's it. That's what this country is. And this should be no surprise. There's no reason for people to hate black people. There's no reason that many of these people that never even interacted with black people hate black people. It's the fear of the unknown. It's the fear of the disruption of my way of life, my way of doing things. When at the end of the day, hey, most times if you mind your business, you take care of yours, and you take care of your own, most times nobody's gonna mess with you. Now, I mean, again, me and Steve always go to play devil's advocate. Sure, there are times, there are moments where things bleed over and probably can be too much. I get it. Do we need more censorship in certain things that kids see? But again, to your point about the responsibility to vote, How much is that the responsibility of the parent? See, it's crazy to me because you have people on both sides that don't want to parent their kid, that just want the government to do everything for them, but yet they still go against their own best interests. Either way. So I mean, I just think we as a society have just become so easy, so detached from responsibility that everyone's just looking for the next person to do something for them, and they don't even know what they're asking for.
Yeah, I mean that's a fair point, and like I get it, like in wanting like certain things in terms of censorship, where you don't want like certain things to be on TV and etc. I can get that kind of stuff, right? Um, um, but it seems like that's not what these folks are
It's not.
motivated by it, and
It's not.
it's like like when you see the people with the certain books in libraries or whatever, and it's like, okay, this book, it exists, it's in a library, your kid don't have to fucking read it, you know what I mean, like like these people are just so upset about
And it's
things
not like it's
that
picture books.
right,
Like they make it seem like they got pop-up books of fucking, you open the page 5 and a big ass, dingaling pops out. You know what I mean? And it's a guy
right,
dressed like a woman or something. Like, oh, it's Dr. Jekyll and Mrs. Hyde. Oh, look at Mrs. Hyde's dingaling pop up. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
that's how they make it seem like the books are.
Like when Biden first took office, he appointed a trans person to serve in the Department of Health and Human Services as like an undersecretary or something, and people were freaking out about that. And in my mind, I look at it like this, right? And I get EJ's point about fear of the unknown, et cetera, right? But these people exist in our society. They can't be ostracized. You know what I mean? You can't otherize them and say, "Oh, well, these people are here, but they shouldn't have any vision, any kind of visibility at all. They need to be tucked away somewhere." Pardon the no pun intended. But they got to be hidden away, so that way I don't have to see them or know that they exist or whatever. Like you can't treat people like that. Like these people exist, and we have to share the country with them. There are people who are racist as fuck in this country who I can't fucking stand, but they still live here. You know what I'm saying? And so you can't just make it seem like this is my country, and therefore anybody else who doesn't look like me, think like me, and believe like me have no say so, have no rights, and they should be shitted on. Like that's
But
bullshit.
wasn't that the true point of Make America Great Again? That was the
That's
true
exactly
point
right.
of it. And this is why none of this shocks me, because again, while I don't have to agree with your lifestyle, while I might not want to see it, I'm not fucking with you. But again, the other side, making America great again, that means shut up and dribble. That means nigger be seen when I call on you. That means I don't want you running my country. This is everything we have dissolute. We have fooled ourselves to believe that this nation has truly changed. You fooled
I,
ourselves.
I think on a lighter note, what we talked about a few weeks ago, last time we potted where I was here, and I mentioned, the hope is that there's some people on the far right that have the gall to kind of challenge some shit. And VP is very skeptical of that, and I am as well, as are you, EJ. But I try to have high hopes for it. There was 4 individuals who made a mark on the Gates thing. Um, the Matt Gates thing, which led to him eventually, declining Trump's nomination. And you just hope that that happens more often than not with a lot of the stuff that's going to come up in the next 4 years. Like, again, I know tons of skepticism from all of us, and probably the most from VP. Um, but that's the hope, is that there's going to be some people that are on the right side of things when it comes to making these decisions or voting or getting into session and saying yay or nay. That's all we can hope for at this point. It really is, and hopefully it's the extreme stuff. Like they should have an understanding that right or left, black or white, your supporters also have children who are special needs that are going to have needs to, to IEPs, right? Your children, your supporters are going to have children who are 23 or 24 years old that have pre-existing conditions that cannot afford to lose this coverage because Trump and his people don't want to cover kids up until they're 26 any longer. Like, you got to hope that there are people on the right that understand this stuff and are willing to make the right decision. And that's all we can hope for in the next 4 years.
Yeah, I mean, we can hope. That's it. I'm like you said, I'm skeptical, but I'm hoping for the best. But I don't see it in terms of when we talk about like some of these people who shouldn't be there. Pete Hegseth should not be the Secretary of Defense. He doesn't have the qualifications for the job. Pete Hegseth was in the National Guard when Joe Biden was preparing to be inaugurated, when they had all those National Guard troops in DC. EJ will remember this well since he works in the area. And when they were screening folks to see if they had like ties to things like white or Christian nationalism and things like that, in order to keep those people out of DC for the ones who were protecting the Capitol shortly after January 6th, he was one of the people they pulled away from the Capitol to say you can't be here because we think that you might be an extremist. You know, uh, uh, um, yeah, but he's going to be Secretary of Defense. RFK Jr. at HHS, this guy that he's nominating Kash Patel to run the FBI. The FBI director is not even a job that's open right now, which means he's going to get in and fire the FBI director to make this guy who's a loyalist the FBI director, so they can start turning the FBI on people that he's deemed as political enemies.
Right.
Jared Kushner's father, he nominated him to be ambassador to France. This guy's a convicted criminal. Trump pardoned him, so his conviction went away. But a convicted criminal, he's made the ambassador to France. Linda McMahon, I could actually make a good argument for why, her nomination to education secretary would be acceptable, even though she doesn't really have the qualifications for that job, right? But she shouldn't be there. And all these other, Matt Gaetz as attorney general, even though he stepped away, Pam Bondi, who's the Florida attorney general, who he's nominating now to be the attorney general, she's corrupt as fuck. When the Trump University thing was happening, when all those states were suing Trump for all the people that he defrauded through Trump University, Florida was supposed to join that case. The New York folks, attorney general's office, reached out to Florida to join. Florida's like, yeah, we're interested. Pam Bondi gets a call from Trump people saying, hey, he wants to make a donation to your political action committee. Trump donates $25,000 to her PAC, and then she closed the investigation from Florida's point of view. So, hey, fuck you, Florida citizens. I got 25 grand from Trump. So, kick rocks. You know what I mean? These are the people that are going to be in charge of our government. And while one or two of them, like Matt Gaetz, might not get through, he's going to get the majority of them through. And these people are going to do real harm and real damage, not only to our country, but to our lives individually. And, to Steve's point, the people who are going to be fucked over by this, and who knows, I may be one of those people, even though I didn't vote for this asshole. For the people who voted for him and then end up getting fucked over by him and what his administration is getting ready to do, I feel no sorrow for you. You deserve every fucking bit of everything that you get.
Yep, 100% agree. When I was in Utah, I found this interesting, and we talked about this maybe a year ago or so. I was, just on my phone, and I stumbled across a site. Didn't go to it myself, but stumbled. Might have been a link that was posted in our chat, probably by VP. And in order to actually open said site, I had to do age verification. Not just, yes, I'm over 18. I would have needed to do facial recognition or upload a copy of my driver's license to be able to get to said site.
What?
Yes, said site was a porn site that someone posted, that I stumbled upon, not that I was trying to go to. So, yeah, interesting. They are protecting children, in a sense, right, from it. So I wonder how you guys feel about that. It seems pretty extreme,
That's
but
extreme to me.
do you think it's a good way to protect children from the internet, the stuff that we've kind of talked about in the past, like that children should.
I think that it is a good way to protect children. However, again, it's what's the responsibility of the parents? You know what I mean? Like, monitor what your children are doing, put blockers on their devices, et cetera, et cetera. Because like the whole reason we have things like incognito mode and stuff like that is because we want privacy. We don't want do y'all remember that meme people used to post, and it was like me on Facebook, me on Twitter, and like Facebook's like a guy in a bow tie, look like Carlton basically, and then the Twitter version where I can be more anonymous is like, the thugged out, like, the degenerate me or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of people live like that online, where they're one way in public and they're a different way in private, you know what I mean? And so now if I go to a porn site, I have to do facial recognition or give them I don't want them to have all that kind of data on me. They have enough data just from my cookies and shit like that, from whatever device that I'm using to visit their site. Now they got my face and my driver's license and shit. Like, who knows what happens with that data once they have it? It's almost like, how you go to you just travel, Steve. When you go to the airport now, they scan your driver's license, and they have the little sign that says, "Oh, this thing doesn't remember your license information or whatever." I
Yeah.
think that's cap. I don't believe that. You know what I'm saying? I got to do it because, I mean, it's the only way I'm going to get through TSA, right? But I don't think that thing is forgetting me. And if these websites are saying, if you send us a picture of your driver's license or facial recognition, once we verify who you are, all that information is going to be scrubbed or go away. I don't buy that for a single fucking second.
Yeah, I mean that we could say that about a lot of things in society. To your point, we got to just do it at those times. I think, while it might be inconvenient, it might be a better step than what we've had to do in the past versus just enter a fictitious or enter your actual birthday.
Enter a date of
Uh,
birth. Yeah. If your kid knows
yeah,
math, they could be 40 if they want. Hey, what? Real quick, you said something
I
that
know.
that stuck out to me that I wasn't aware of. VP, what's incognito
Google
Oh
incognito
boy.
mode.
Right. But here's something you could do, right, EJ? Because you're saying like, oh, before you just typed in a fictitious date saying this is my birthday and they let you in, right? Why not, when you buy a phone, right? They check your ID at the time you purchase the phone, and then that way the phone has like some kind of thing like in the background that says, okay, Steve bought this phone. This was his date of birth when he bought it. And that way it restricts the phone from visiting any websites that shouldn't be visited if you're under the age of 18. So like if you get a phone for one of your daughters, EJ, right? When you set it up, you plug in, hey, she, even if you don't got to put in her exact date of birth, like, you could just say she was born in May of 2010, and then boom. Now, if she goes to one of those websites, the phone says, "Yeah, this thing's age restricted. You can't go here." Instead of us uploading our
I mean, yeah, you
pictures and
got
driver's licenses and stuff, like, I don't like that. I'm not for that.
yeah, you got. I mean, parents have access to parental controls and stuff, but again, I will say the
Well,
liberal
no, I'm not
side of
talking about a
things,
parental
people don't do
control.
that.
I'm talking about blocking it from the manufacturer's side.
I mean, you could argue that might be a little extreme or invasive. I don't know. I mean, I get it. I mean, there's different. The point is, to your point, there are other measures that parents can do so that the rest of us in this world don't have to suffer, right? But I mean, again, to the point we always have, human element, human error always exists. So like you've always said in the past, I rather my government or people take things out of the hands of people that's supposed to do right that don't do right. And unfortunately, we're of society today where if your kid does something, they blame everyone else but themselves. And unfortunately, that's how it is.
Yeah, I can tell you why. It's money. It's money and stakeholders. The minute Apple was to say that they're going to do that, you're going to lose that many sales because you're going to have Samsung not doing it. Or if Apple and Samsung do it, now Nokia is not going to do it. And now Nokia comes out with a phone and market share for Nokia goes up significantly. Apple and Samsung drop. You know what I mean? Because people can go out and buy Nokia without, without the woke government being in front of them or whatever, right? Like that's what it all boils. Everything, all of that all boils down to it. It's all money. But
No, I get what you're saying, Stan, and I think you're absolutely right. But what I was suggesting is that it's because the reason that you had to do that in Utah is that in Utah they've essentially passed a law that requires the porn websites to. You say you were in Utah when that happened, right? I think I don't remember, but whatever. But some states have passed laws that require these sites to do that, to do the age verification. So they've essentially put like a geofence on the state to say, hey, if somebody accesses our site from this state, this is what they need to do in order to access it versus if they did it from, Florida or New York or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So what
Right.
I'm saying is that you pass a law that essentially says that when you go to buy the phone, that information is entered then and it can't be changed. Like it's locked in. So this phone belongs to a person who's 12 years old, and this person won't be 18 until May of 2037, and in June of 2020 of 2037 is when that phone would be able to access those types of sites or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I still I think what Steve was kind of alluding to, you know, if there happens to be a malfunction and somebody does something, the liability, on the company becomes that much greater. Whereas, hey, I'm just producing a phone. If you buy it for your kid, we got parental controls. We're not getting that much further into it. We don't want anything on our hard processor that's going to be, our responsibility. We don't need any of that. You just get a phone. It's kind of to the point where it's like I can make the argument like, why do I have to go with that? Just buy the phone and just fucking watch your kid.
No, EJ, I'm with you. I'm not. I don't agree with doing any of that. I'm just saying. I'm just trying to spitball an idea that would be
No, I got you.
less intrusive than what the status quo and what Steve experienced in Utah. But I think it's to the point that you made earlier about people not knowing what they want. People don't know what they want, right? Because like I remember in New York, for example, they had passed a thing that said they were like limiting the size of sugary drinks. And they're like, yo, people on government assistance or whatever, Medicaid dollars, etc. And so they shouldn't be drinking this stuff that's bad for their health when they're, getting all these government benefits and shit like that. That's paying for all this excess health care. And people went nuts about that. It's like, government can't be telling me what to blah, 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 And it's like, people want the government to do this, but not do that. And it's like, you have to pick a lane. Either you want it to be the Wild Wild West and you do whatever the fuck you want to do whenever you want to do it, or there needs to be some regulations in this country or whatever,
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, they want regulations. They just want to regulate all the Chinese, the Mexicans, the blacks, the Puerto Ricans, regulate those people. The Haitians that are eating the cats that have magically disappeared, right? That's not a thing anymore.
Not even a news story anymore, huh?
Don't even talk about it.
This all of a sudden stops.
You don't hear about the dogs or the cats. You don't hear about the woke media. You don't even hear about the sex change. You don't even hear about trans people trying to steal your kids or show their dinglings in public anymore. All of that's gone now that the election's done.
Another thing that's not even gone, it hasn't even shown up yet. The war on Christmas. Every year there's a war on Christmas. They won't let you say Merry Christmas. Haven't really been hearing that this year. The caravans coming from Mexico to come take your kids away. I guess they turned around. I don't know.
Well, that's weird. Still there. That's still there. Trump is still screaming about Mexico. Speaking of which, isn't it against the law for him to be having conversations as a U.S. citizen for the betterment of the country?
It is, but you're talking about the Logan Act. They don't enforce that shit. So it's one of those laws that's on the books that it's some people actually think the Logan Act is unconstitutional because it violates the First Amendment, but we haven't had any cases go to court. But to your
Only
point,
there
I
was a
think
president in there that could do something and not be held accountable for something at some point.
this is exactly where I was going, and I think that Joe Biden has since the election, Biden has really pissed me off in a way that he hasn't done since he's been
This
president. I
nigga's
mean, there's
checked
things
out, dog. Joe
right,
Biden is the nigga that put his 2 weeks in and then put in all his vacation time. Like that's
yeah,
what it's starting to feel
that's a
like.
great example. That's exactly what it feels like. And one of the things that has bothered me is that we have been saying that Trump is dangerous. You know, he's a threat to democracy, et cetera, et cetera. And then Biden is just treating him like, okay, the people have spoken. He's the next president. So let's, make sure the transition smooth, blah, blah, blah. And I don't have a problem with making sure there's a smooth transition. This country is big. It's involved in a lot of things. There's a lot of money, things like that. So, yeah, we want to help the next administration hit the ground running. But what I'm talking about is that you say Trump is dangerous, right? And then when I look at the post-election stuff that happens, I see Trump come to the White House and have the photo ops with you in the Oval Office and stuff like that, the same way it was when Clinton handed it off to Bush and Bush handed it off to Obama and Obama handed it off to Trump. But there is no pictures of the handoff between Trump and Biden because it didn't happen. You know what I mean? But you're treating it like it's just like any other election, right? You have Trump saying they don't want to use the FBI for background checks on the people that they're nominating because they claim the FBI process is too slow. They want to do it through a law firm. The reason they want to do it through a law firm and not through the FBI is because once the FBI finds everything for these security clearances, they're going to say, we don't recommend that person A gets a security clearance because of X, Y, and Z. Some of these people have to go to the Senate. The FBI is going to send those reports to the Senate. And they don't want that stuff to get out there to say, hey, Tulsi Gabbard, who Trump nominated to be our director of national intelligence, that she's a paid foreign asset for Russia. I'm not making that up. That's true. Or I think it's either Russia or Turkey. I can't remember which one. But she's a paid foreign agent who is about to be the head of our national intelligence apparatus, right?
Does she have an OnlyFans?
So we don't want that to get out there because when a law firm looks into Tulsi, what are they going to do? Hit them with NDAs so that way none of this information leaks out or whatever, right? So if you're Joe Biden, who said that these people are dangerous, why hasn't Biden said, one, because typically what happens is that when the new president nominates the folks, the current administration starts working through the background process so they can start issuing security clearances to these people so they can hit the ground running. Once they get the security clearance, they can start sharing information with them even before they get in office, right? Biden should have come out and said, we're not giving security clearances to anybody unless they go through an FBI background check. Secondly, if anybody in the Trump transition shares any classified information on these people, you're going to be prosecuted. And three, why didn't he just order the FBI, since he's still fucking in charge of them, to just do background checks on those people anyway? He don't need their consent to do it. You know what I'm saying? So it's this kind of shit, like to Steve's point, where it's like Biden is like a dude who is completely checked out or whatever. This shit is infuriating, yo.
I would nominate Tulsi Gabbard. Matter of fact, she would have only got my vote. Kamala versus Tulsi, she got my vote, dog. I'm gonna go to jail because I voted twice for her. Woo! Tulsi. Lord. Yeah, I would give her a job if I was Trump. She's a spy. She's still getting a job, dog. Let me tell you something. Yeah, I expect more from Biden. That whole and not only that, right? It's more so that it's what you're talking about, but it's also like all the shit that Trump is already doing, right? And he's not doing it, right? He's just posting it.
Planning to do.
Well, no, he's posting it on True Social saying, "Oh, I just got off the phone with, the president of Mexico. Oh, I just got off the phone with Putin. Oh, I just got off the phone with XYZ," right? And it's creating this false narrative that he's making moves already and he's impacting the United States already, right? And so now you have his people flipping this narrative that, it's not even January and we're already seeing movements from Trump. You know what I mean? Like,
well, that part is normal. That part is normal. So I wouldn't be mad. So typically when a new president is elected, because of the impact our country has on the world, other foreign leaders call them. One is like congratulatory calls, But then two, they say, hey, I hope we can work together on, you know, boop, boop, boop. Or
No,
maybe
no, no.
there's a
I
thing
got
that we're
that.
doing now under Biden that we want to continue. So hopefully we can keep doing that, you know, blah, 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 that kind of shit.
I got that, but he's lying is the problem, and no one's calling it out. And Joe is nobody else is like, yo, this is bullshit, except for people that run, the actual, political alert pages and stuff. Like, so
Gotcha.
the dude says, yo, I just got off the phone with, the president after I called her out of Mexico, and she tells us that she's gonna stop all the, the trafficking or the all the immigrants from coming into through the southern border. And then
Hmm.
she puts out a statement saying, yeah, I talked to him, but I didn't say that shit in Spanish, right?
Hmm.
And so and, and so nobody fact checks it except for one of the freaking leftist sites that says, yo, this is the translation of what she's saying that she told him, and it had nothing to do with not allowing people or protecting the southern border like
I
he's
got
telling
you.
you happened,
I
right?
got you. But Steve, this is what I told
He
you
asked
guys
me. He
on the
asked me about the
podcast.
price of chiladas.
Right. He said could he get yeah, exactly. He wants some extra avocados before he shut shit down.
But this is what I told y'all during on the pod. You know, when y'all would bring up stuff about, you know, Trump promises made, promises kept, or whatever, and I would tell y'all Trump is not doing any of this shit. He's just saying that he is. And I would this again. I keep coming back to this because I think that it's very important when I keep saying what is the responsibility of the voter. Like, you are being lied to, and they're just eating it up. Trump is telling them, like, I've seen posts from Trump when he was president saying that he repealed Obamacare. And then he ran this time saying how he's going to repeal Obamacare because Trump would just sign shit. He would sign a memorandum that would tell the Department of Health and Human Services to develop a plan to get rid of Obamacare. And then he would tell people, I got rid of Obamacare. You know, he would sign an order that tells another department, hey, look into doing this thing. And then that's it. I mean, he would tell people, I did it, you know, and then promises made, promises kept. He just keeps repeating the same nonsense over and over and over again, and people believe it. When I was president, we had the best economy in the history of the United States. That's just not true. We had the lowest black unemployment in the history of the United States. That's not. We have the lowest black unemployment right now. Trump is not president. You know what I'm saying? But he just keeps saying that
I
shit
hope he
over and
doesn't.
over and over again. And these fucking gullible ass people just keep falling for it.
I hope he doesn't try to reduce the federal employee workforce. That'd be
They're doing that.
catastrophic
That's
for a
what
lot of
Elon. That's what Elon is there for. That whole Doge bullshit, Department of Government Efficiency, which basically is an acronym for Doge, which is Elon's fucking cryptocurrency, which is just putting money in his pocket. By the way, hello, you know, they're talking about cutting the budget by $2 trillion. You can't cut $2 trillion from the budget without getting rid of government employees. So that shit is gonna happen. The federal workforce is the
Oh,
non.
and you go and you that little remote there you got. Who they already said they getting rid of that?
Yeah, they're getting rid
Well,
of work from home in the
I'm
federal
not a federal
government.
employee, so
Oh, okay.
I'm not a federal employee, so
But yeah,
Oh, so you
they're
good.
gonna
I'm local.
they're talking about making these cuts, and people need to understand, like, if you work for the federal government, and especially in places like the EPA, the Department of Education, people who work in the Department of Energy in terms of like regulation and stuff like that, your job is at risk. You know what I mean? And
Y'all
so
better do your taxes early. Don't
so
wait.
yeah, these folks, you know, the people who complain about, oh, rich people don't, how come they get away? They don't get audited. You know what happened when Joe Biden was president? They passed a bill that put billions of dollars into the IRS and hired 87,000 people to work there. Now, not 87,000 auditors. Before Joe Biden was president, when you called the IRS, you sat on hold for 2 or 3 hours before you got to talk to a person. When you call the IRS now, you sit on hold for like 15 minutes before you talk to a person. You know, those people are going to be fired, as well as all those auditors as well. They're gone. So all those the stories that I used to post in the chat showing the billions of dollars that the federal government has recovered from auditing rich people who've been getting away with bullshit on their taxes because their tax returns were mine or yours is like 12 pages and theirs is 400 pages, super complicated, so they don't get audited. They're being audited now. That shit is going to end. So all the corruption that people claim to hate is coming right back.
You know what? If you can't beat them, oh, my tax is about to be
Gotta jump
lit.
baby. Gotta join them, baby.
My taxes is about to be lit.
For the
You know
scammers to
what?
rise.
I need it. I'm gonna show this on the pod real
Time,
quick so I can claim it on my taxes.
it's time for the scammers to rise.
Yo, scam is gonna
'Cause they-
scam, yo.
before Joe Biden's administration, I knew some people that some student
We might
loan
actually,
fraud type
we might
stuff.
actually see, we might see some TVs falling off of trucks again.
I knew some people that did some student loan fraud stuff that got away with it.
I ain't doing that.
Might be that time again.
Nah, I ain't doing. I'm not gonna go
Hey.
that far. I ain't going that far. I might just claim a little something. Matter of fact, I just bought the Tesla under my LLC anyway. So, ooh, thanks, Trump. Yo, let me ask you guys, what is going on in the NFL?
I don't watch the NFL.
It just seems like, yo, well, you watch the NFL. It's just you're the fan of an AFL team. Is what it seems like at times. These motherfuckers, they it's weird. It's one of them. I think we talked about this multiple times throughout the year. It's one of them seasons where any given Sunday is really a thing, and stuff is so jumbled together that, for example, Cincinnati is 4-7 right now, and they still have a chance at wild card. The Cowboys have been shit all year. They've won 2 in a row. They still get Carolina this year. They still get Cincinnati, which is, it's a tough team, but they're beatable. They still have some beatable stuff, but looking at the NFC standings, there's still an outside option or opportunity for them to make the wild card. Same thing for Arizona at 6-5. Same thing at Atlanta 6-5. Like the Jets, well, never mind.
Miami has a shot. They're still all mathematically in.
Yeah, we're still
Only one that's
mathematically
been
in.
eliminated is
The Giants
Vegas. Vegas is the only one officially eliminated.
and the Giants
And the Giants. Yeah.
and the Giants.
Yeah. I mean on the AFC side, yeah.
It's one of those years, yo. And you got good teams. Baltimore 8-4. They're losing games that they're not supposed to lose. You got Baltimore playing Philly today. And this is a huge one because Lamar Jackson is only lost to one NFC team ever in his career. Philly's 9-2, Baltimore's 8-4. Philly taking a loss makes a major change in the NFC standings once again. That makes things so much closer in the NFC, right? And then Baltimore pops up. Buffalo plays San Francisco, who's 5-6 today. So if Buffalo wins that game, which rightfully they should, San Francisco falls to 5-7.
Have you seen the video from Buffalo?
The snow
is insane. It looks like it was with blizzard there or something. It's just crazy.
I need to go to Buffalo.
I didn't see that. I didn't even. I looked at the weather earlier today. I thought I didn't even see snow on there. That's crazy.
It snowed the last 2 days. Like it's crazy. Fucking whiteout.
What do you feel about the people that were watching that Pittsburgh game the other night that were bitching about the snow? And I want to say it was, I forget who it was. One of the commentators was like, "Oh, don't give me this is old school Cleveland." Yeah, it was Cleveland. But don't tell me this is old school football. They shouldn't have to brave the elements anymore. How do we still have stadiums without roofs in these areas? How do you guys feel about that?
I somewhat agree with that. I think that in these cold weather cities that they should be required to have stadiums that have retractable roofs. So that way, if it's just cold, fine. But when you have like a situation like with that Pittsburgh Cleveland game, what's going to happen in Buffalo today, that Miami KC playoff game last season, you need to have a situation like that to where you can kind of take those kind of elements out of it. I don't think that, the same way Miami plays in the heat, you can't say, oh, it's cold outside, so we got to close the roof, But like if it's like a blizzard outside, like you shouldn't have to be playing in snow and all that kind of shit like that. Like these people play a game that's about precision and those kind of things. And you can't have precision playing in weather like that.
EJ, go ahead. I'm gonna let you give your political stance on this. I'm about to be asshole to VP.
Yeah, I think the cold aspect of what you said, VP, is even worse than the blizzard because if it's too cold and there's no snow, that's actually probably worse. But I mean, I'm biased because I played football growing up and playing in the snow, and that's part of the advantage to being at home. So I mean, I appreciate it. So I'm not gonna be against it.
I'm actually on that side of it too. Like, I feel like if they did it, they need to regulate it, and it should be for those situations like the Kansas City Miami game last year where it was negative 30 degrees or whatever the fuck that was. Like,
Negative 27.
yeah, that. I'm okay with that. The snow aspect of it, what's wrong with
I thought you were saying like the situation in Miami, Kansas City. That's a bit too far. You're like, no, I'm okay with that.
you? No, I'm okay with with that blistering cold because you got the fans that can end up fucked up from it. You know what I mean? But also it's bitter chill. Like, that's different. But the snow, come on, dog. Once like watch it, first of all, we just talked about what sells tickets, what makes people watch anyway, right? And in the NBA, we talked about people shooting threes. I guarantee you that Buffalo game is going to have eyes on it because people are looking at it and love. How many of those do we get a year? 2, maybe, sometimes 3. We might get one out of Wisconsin. We always get one out of Buffalo, and we got lucky this year and got one out of Cleveland. Sometimes you might get one out of Chicago or whatever, but it's super rare. So when you do get that one game, people love seeing that shit. People love seeing that shit. And I get that it's precision, but it's historic. Like, how much are we going to continue to change stuff so that we say, yo, all these records and the game is so different today. The challenges that the players go through today are different from the people that played in the past. But we're going to try and measure the greatness across the board still just the same. Like, eh, eh, I'm
I
not
don't
with
I don't have a I don't have a problem with snow. Like I don't even think the snow that was in that Pittsburgh Cleveland game was that bad. But I think that the NFL should mandate the retractable roof so that way there's an option for if it is that bad. Because, like them having to have fans come to the stadiums to shovel snow in Buffalo every year is ridiculous. You know what I'm saying?
it. You think
Well, that's
so?
because Buffalo's a poor city.
I,
Buffalo's a
I, I
poor
don't I
city.
don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. I mean, the city doesn't. The owner owns
Buffalo.
some billionaire owns that shit. They should be able to pay for that.
No, I get it. I get it.
Well,
I'm just
but these people, dog, these people
I'm
jump
just saying it's
off
a
of.
poor city. They're able to convince people to get paid for that.
Oh,
And
okay,
some
I got you. I didn't see. I didn't
probably
see. I
like that
got
in
you.
Buffalo.
Yeah. I get what you're saying. But yeah, I just think that they should
Yeah.
have the option to say the elements outside are not suitable for playing this game. So we're gonna have the roof closed so that way we can have a good football game here versus playing in some, like I get Steve's point about how, we did this and we did that back and we did a lot of things, back in the day when somebody, was a little bit off, they used to drill a hole into their skull and fuck around with their brain and shit, like we don't do that anymore. We realize
Lobotomy.
yeah, there you go, lobotomy. We realize that those things probably don't work. Electroshock therapy and shit. We don't do that anymore. You know what I'm saying? So you
They
just
cut
can't
it
be
through.
doing shit just because we did it back in the day. We don't leech people anymore because it's like, oh, you got a cold, let me put some leeches on you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they're gonna end up postponing this game.
When people
Watch.
needed appendectomies back in the, they used to do back in like the 1700s when people, before we knew about removing an appendix that was getting ready to burst, they would blow tobacco smoke up the anus. That's how they used to treat that back in the 1700s. Like we don't have to keep
Seen a
doing things a
seen a
certain way
video.
because we.
I seen a movie where somebody did that recently, but it was hookah.
So, you know,
Sound like a good time.
in in the
Exactly. What are we
word
talking
in
about?
That's
the
hilarious.
in the words of my man Akeem, things must and always change, my friend.
Listen, man. Philly Baltimore is a notable game today. Minnesota's 9. Yo, Kansas City, dog. Forget everything else football.
Ridiculous.
The new
Kansas,
Patriots.
Yeah. It seems worse though, though. Like even as you, EJ, you know, I have no love for the Patriots. Hate them, hate Brady, hate Belichick. I'm gonna 10 toes down, no matter what,
No,
how much time
it's
passes.
just as bad.
No, I'm just
It's
saying.
just as bad. You know why?
I think it's worse. I think it's worse.
It, it,
worse.
it feels worse, but imagine, right? Put yourself in the era where they did Spygate and the Deflategate. If we had Twitter and all of the internet shit we had now, oh man, it'd have been nasty. It's just
But they were just
it's just
cheating,
we have
getting
more eyes on what
calls.
Kansas City does.
Kansas City is getting it because of Taylor Swift. Like, it is absolutely clear that Roger Goodell and the NFL know that Kansas City winning and getting as far as possible and playing as deep as possible into the year has a monetary value because of Taylor Swift. Like, it's out of control. The call, like, how do you? Oh, it's a false start. Nope, my bad. It wasn't a false start. It's just it's bad, yo. It's bad. But I blame Antonio Pierce for that. 14 seconds left. Why are you running another play? Your kicker likes it on the left hash. Well, guess what, dog? It's 14 seconds left. You get paid millions of dollars. If you can't kick it from the right hash, then we gonna cut you and get somebody else.
Not just that though, Steve. Right? I would argue the reason they did that is because they probably said, "Oh man, Buffalo thought 13 seconds was enough," and they got burned. Instead of saying, "Okay, they fucked around and let Tyreek Hill, with the fastest dude in the NFL, get open, and he took it to the house on them with 13 seconds left. So you know what? We're gonna kick this field goal, and then we're gonna kick the ball off, and we're gonna not let them blow the top off the defense or whatever." You know what I mean? Like that was insane. That was insane. But even with that, with Antonio Pierce not kicking it or whatever, the fact that it seems like anytime there's something questionable with the referees, it goes Kansas City's way. Always. They get these calls, yo, and that I don't know if y'all watched that whole Dolphins game on Thanksgiving or whatever. Tua took a late hit, and the Dolphins sideline was going ape shit. McDaniel was pissed. The refs stop the game before the next play starts, and they get together to talk about it. And then so now that they're talking about it, they're showing the replay over and over again. It's like, God damn, yo. Like, this dude, not only did he take a late hit, the dude stepped on his head afterwards or whatever. The ref comes like, yeah, nothing to see here. Next play, keep it moving. The clock starts on my whistle. And it's like, you look at Patrick Mahomes the wrong way. You look at Patrick Mahomes the wrong way. You might get ejected.
Yeah. That's why he runs towards the sideline every play. He runs towards the sideline. Defenders let up, and he gets another 3, 4, 5 yards every fucking time. If I was a defensive coordinator, blow his ass up. Pause.
Exactly. I blame the defenders at this point because at some point you got to be the guy to set the example. Mm-hmm. Take him out.
I'll put his ass in an RKO if he starts running towards the sideline. Break his damn neck.
I agree, but I disagree because at the same time, right? Like what I always say, you got to play the game you're in, not the game you want to be in. And in the game that we're in, if you do that, you're going to cost them 15 more yards. And depending on when it happens, that could end the game.
That's true. That's different.
You know what I'm saying? Because think about this, right? Again, from my own team. Last season, Bradley Chubb gets mad that he misses a tackle on Will Levis, and he takes off his helmet and slams it down on the ground in disgust, gets a 15-yard unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. That play cost us the game. So
that's different.
That's different.
Because
last peak.
Oh my God,
that's different. Because if you hit Patrick Mahomes while he's still in play, they because the refs are all in Kansas City's pocket. Yeah, but that ain't the same as what Chubb did. I mean, listen, if Patrick Mahomes is riding the sideline, you gotta rock him. You gotta start hitting him. He's not the only one that's gotten away with that over the years.
Mm-hmm. Allen does that shit too.
Josh Allen has done it. Trevor Lawrence has done it.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, So Antonio Pierce screws that up. The day before, we saw Chicago's coach screw up their comeback on Detroit. Like, we've seen Dan Campbell do this hundreds of times in the last 2 years. I don't know what's going on with coaching. Like, it's like people sit down and be like, "Yo, I gotta be Nick Sirianni. I gotta find a way to be dumber than him because it works out for him. It works out for Philly. It works out for Sirianni. So these guys are sitting here and they're like, and the one team that, and here's the other thing though, the one team that actually decided to let me kick the ball, which was Washington against the Cowboys last week. The damn kicker misses misses the kick. So, but I mean, still, you got to play averages, yo. You got to play averages and stop playing. The new book says that you should go for it. Like, it's
I mean, if your kicker misses 2 already that game, like he did versus y'all, you might want to go for it.
true, true. But and that's what happened with Las Vegas
You
too,
know,
right? Like,
you
and
might want
and
to go for it.
Carlson had already missed 2 kicks in that game against Kansas City. But still, there's 14 seconds left. You're the like you said in like he said in the interview, or the press conference. They're the worst team in the league. Like, you're the worst team in the league, and you got a chance to beat the quote unquote best team in the league. All you got to do is kick this ball and then play defense, and for 10 seconds, and you go
Yeah.
down on Black Friday, the first Black Friday game, as beating the best team. You know what I mean? Like, there's Antonio Pierce, dog. You're a dodo. You're a dodo. I just can't do it no more, yo.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why the Tomlins of the world will forever be special.
Yeah.
Yeah, just give me the traditional coaches, dog. Like, get out there and kick the fucking ball, yo. Make it
Yeah.
happen.
I agree. I agree. Yo, last week with us, like Mike McDaniel, like he needs to give up play calling. Like he was talking about, he was considering it a couple of weeks ago. He can't call plays anymore. We got the ball at the 2-yard line. We did one run, we lost a yard, and then on second and third down, we lined up in shotgun 4 and 5 receivers each time from the 3-yard line, yo. And of course, we didn't get in. By the way, just if you didn't watch the game, I'm just like, what the fuck are we doing? Like this
And it's
this
crazy.
stuff is.
It's crazy because earlier this year, I don't remember if Tua was in. I think Tua might have still been hurt. Y'all lined up in the I formation and had Mostert and HN, I think, is as a fullback and I back. And I think that was a phenomenal play, handing off to one of them for the touchdown, which I thought teams need to go back to doing. If you got 2 backs, line them both up in I or pro set and use them both. I thought that was brilliant because the Jets wound up doing it once, but it got called back. But
Most of it hasn't even been playing.
I mean,
McDaniel's
that's
doing
crazy.
that old. He's doing that old school coaching shit where Mostert had 2 fumbles, so he hasn't been putting them in the game. And I get that or whatever, but it's like, yo, this dude had 22 touchdowns last season, and you're not letting him play because he fumbled. Like, come on, dog. I get you got to hold on to the ball, but like I think we're being a bit excessive here.
Yeah. You need that change of pace. I mean, there's teams out there that don't have one good running back that would kill to have 2. Like the Dallas
And
Cowboys.
A-Chain's doing his thing. Don't get me wrong, but instead of it being Mostert A-Chain 2-headed monster, you're going Mostert and Washington the rookie, and Mostert is every time that he is in, he's doing numbers, but he's only in very limited because he's being punished because of the fumbles.
Right.
And it's not like he's been fumbling all. He had 2 fumbles.
They said he coaching like Bud Kilmer in Varsity Blues.
Yeah.
Detroit's doing the 2 running back thing, and that seems to be working out nicely. Like, Washington was doing it until we blew up Eckler. He might be half dead. Cincinnati's
Colorado's been
doing
eliminated from the playoffs because
Atlanta.
No, Colorado has been eliminated from the playoffs because BYU beat Houston. That just came out on Bleacher Report.
Ooh,
Colorado, like where Dion.
Deion
University of
Sanders,
Colorado.
University of Colorado.
Oh, that sucks.
That's gonna be
That sucks.
controversial.
Travis Hunter, Heisman.
No. Well, no.
EJ.
They may give it to him. They might want
Should
to
be a
give it to the
candidate
kid.
for sure.
They might want to give it to the kid from Boise, because his numbers are unreal. I think if Boise State loses or something and he has a bad game, it might sway over to Travis Hunter. But right now, I think JT is the favorite out of Boise State.
Running back.
Hmm.
That we hope goes to the Cowboys, right? Uh, Ashton Jeanty. And he's got my son's first name. I'd love to have him on the Cowboys. Yo, Travis Hunter gets Heisman, yo. Travis Hunter deserves the fucking Heisman. Like, what are we talking about? This kid plays.
He's the favorite, but
He plays both sides of the ball. And it's not like he just plays both sides of the ball. It's not like he's just out there like, let me go try cornerback. And then maybe let me go try wide receiver. Like, this dude is he's making game-changing interceptions and then going out on the very next play and making a game-changing touchdown at wide receiver. Like, what are we talking about? How has anybody, matter of fact, not how has, tell me somebody in the history of ever that has had this type of impact in football?
Well, the last person that did do that, the last two people that did do that, one didn't win the Heisman, the other one did. Charles Woodson was one of them who was able to play both sides of the ball actively, but Charlie won. Deion, he didn't win it, but only reason I don't think Travis Hunter won't win is because the writers have too much voting power and they hate Deion and they hate Colorado, because Travis Hunter didn't even get the Jim Thorpe Award.
I was literally about to say something similar to that, EJ, to Steve, is that the voters are old white men who write for sports newspapers and ESPN and shit like that or whatever. So we just seen what white people did to this country in terms of our presidency. So I don't know why you can't believe that they would do some nonsense in Heisman voting.
Oh, Travis Hunter has 92 receptions for 1,100 yards and 14 touchdowns on the offensive side of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
On the defensive side of the ball, he has 20 solo tackles, 11 assisted tackles, and 4 interceptions for 65 yards.
Mm-hmm. And
This year
nobody
alone.
is questioning his accolades. Steve. His accolades are off the charts, and he probably should win the Heisman. But to EJ's point, he plays for Deion Sanders, and some of these people don't like Deion.
Oh.
They think he's too brash. They think he's too outspoken. And, this could be their way to give him some comeuppance, to kind of put him in his place. You're hurting your players, coach. The same way, Steve, the same people who vote for the Heisman are the same people who didn't allow T.O. to be a first ballot Hall of Famer because they were trying to teach him a lesson. Am I right, EJ?
If Travis Hunter doesn't win the Heisman, Deion Sanders needs to leave college football at all costs. At all costs. He needs to make
I think he knows that already. I think he knows that already. What NFL team will make it good
even
for him?
if he doesn't get an NFL job, even if he doesn't get offered a head coaching job in the NFL, he needs to leave the NFL, or I'm sorry, NCAA, and just say, fuck y'all, fuck Colorado, fuck college football. Y'all don't deserve shit from me. Because, I mean, and this is without going into ratings. I could assume that Colorado's ratings have skyrocketed tremendously.
Oh yeah,
right?
They definitely have.
Like, for those games, like that whole conference is bigger than rap right now because of him. If this kid doesn't get Heisman,
I mean, I take it a step further, Steve. I mean, Deion, what he's brought to the game of college football for the last 40 years as a player and now a coach and a father to premier impact premier impact players. If you want to count, Hunter as his adopted son. Yeah, college football owes. I mean, college football has been owing these committees everything. They've been owing. I mean, to hear them not being in the playoffs, it's kind of crazy to me. I don't know if they to BYU. I don't recall that. But I thought they were ranked higher than BYU. I could be wrong, but I remember BYU lost a bullshit ass game. BYU. And so I don't know. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think, like I said, them not making the playoffs, I think is going to be controversial in itself. So I'm with you.
Yeah.
But I think the only way
Actually,
Dion, I'm gonna say, I think only way Dion in his mind might be able to remedy this is that he comes back to Colorado and makes them so dominant that they can't deny their spot in the playoffs and ultimately winning a championship. But other than that, I think he himself up to coach wherever Shador goes. And if I'm any NFL franchise in these top 5 teams, shit, even top 10, I'm giving it a big consideration.
yeah,
I
I don't know about that, but good.
yeah, I don't know if I like college teams. I can see doing it because sometimes with college teams, a lot of the rah rah can help build a program, and you can get attendance going and different things like that. But style over substance only works for so long, right? And I'm not saying Dion doesn't have substance, but like, let me give an example that will hit home for you, EJ. In college football, like, remember when Manny Diaz came to Miami? They did the turnover change. People were like, oh shit, the swag is back, and them guys was looking different. And then all of a sudden, yeah, it was more style over substance. They went same bullshit that we have been seeing in previous years, and they
I
ended up firing.
disagree. I disagree because I always felt like, and as I hate Miami, I always felt like y'all have never gotten a fair shake from the infractions and from all that shit. I just think y'all haven't had a fair shake, right? And I get that point, but I'm gonna give you a point that you always gave me. Charlie Weiss. This man, in his coaching opportunities, him and even the dude that coached Oregon, what's his name? Shit, that went and coached Philly them years.
Chip
Chip Kelly.
Chip Kelly.
Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly. If Chip Kelly can coach in the NFL, goddamn it, Dion can too.
Oh, Dion can
No,
coach in the NFL.
I'm
I
not
just don't
saying
know
Dion
that.
can't coach.
Yeah, I just don't know if I'm a franchise,
Right.
if I'm allowing that control to say, if we hire you, we have to draft your son. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, that's the only thing that I don't know that I'm with that. I mean, I like Shador.
But that's why I brought up the Chip Kelly example. That's why I brought up the Chip Kelly example. He did the exact same thing when he came into Philly. Hey, I need this guy from here, this guy from there, with no real capital. And by all accounts, he was a fucking horrible coach, a horrible player, personnel person. So I mean, again, if I'm in the top 5 of these teams, it's not saying you forcing me because I might do this shit anyway. I'm gonna really look like I'm drafting him anyway. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, I like Shador. I just don't know that. I guess it depends. It depends how early the pick is. Depends who I'm passing up on.
Right.
But I do like
and
Dion.
who you already have on your team.
Yeah,
Because
and
like
that
some
too.
people are talking about Dallas should hire him, and the whole reason he might not, if he did get NFL offers, the reason he won't go to Dallas is because they have Dak. They just paid Dak,
Right.
so Shador to Dallas isn't happening because Dak ain't going anywhere else. You know what I mean? Dak has a no trade clause, so it's not even like Dallas could say, "Let's bring in Dion, we'll bring Shador, and then we're going to get rid of Dak." So
Right.
like
Well, even
I don't
still,
know.
I wouldn't do that anyway. But if I'm like, yeah, we'll bring you in, and if he's there in the second round, then we'll consider it. You know what I'm saying? But we're not wasting our first round pick on a quarterback when we already have a quarterback, and that
Right.
should be anybody. That
The
should be
New
anybody.
York, the New York Football Giants
Giants
don't
might
have a quarterback.
it might happen. That I could see happening. That I can see.
Part of the reason
They
why
don't have a quarterback.
I don't know about the Giants is because the Giants hired Daboll and then stuck him with Daniel Jones, and I could see them potentially moving on from, not completely, they already moved on from Daniel Jones, but I could potentially seeing them maybe wanting the Daboll to develop a quarterback the way that he supposedly did with Josh Allen or whatever. And so that's why I don't think Giants. I think a team that might be a better landing spot for Dion might be like the Titans, because I could see them getting rid of the GM and the coach this year. If they haven't already got rid of the coach, I don't remember. And then starting over with a brand new GM, a brand new coach, and a brand new quarterback.
I don't think the Giants are going to keep Dable because he's been there a few years now, maybe.
3 years now.
And
No,
yeah,
2 years. 2 years. 2
2
years.
years.
No,
Yeah.
three.
And I,
Three.
yeah,
Because
right.
he got hired
And
the same year Flores got fired. So 3 years.
right. And I think the knock on him is going to be, that he didn't do anything with Daniel Jones.
He did
And
nothing
I mean,
with him.
he's gonna get an unfair shake at that, but I don't think
Mhm.
they're gonna stick with him. I think he's gonna be one of those guys. And I mean, if you look at how things have been coached with him, he just seems dejected. I can see the Giants knowing that they fucked up with Saquon, and it seems like the Mara family really trusts this guy at GM, which I don't know why. I could see it happening. And let
Well,
me tell
I
you,
agree with you.
Prime
I can
in New
see it
York,
happening. I just
yeah. New York, though, I would roll the dice. I mean, this dude, he's a winner. He knows culture. He knows football. He's respected. He's probably going to bring some guys in that deserve a shot. I mean, how bad can they get? How
no.
bad can they
I
get
think
right now?
I think the Giants are a possibility. I just kind of think that they give Daboll a chance. And part of the reason why I say that is because I agree with what you said with the ownership's relationship to this guy, Joe Shad or whatever his name is, the GM. I think
Hmm.
they probably end up
Hmm.
sticking with him again or whatever, even after the debacle with Saquon or whatever. And he probably keeps the coach that he brought in, and like, let's just go find a quarterback for my coach. Now, if they fire him, I see the new GM saying, "Yeah, Dable got to go too. I need a new quarterback because I didn't hire this coach, so I don't want him, and I'm gonna pick my coach and my quarterback. But I don't know if the GM is getting let go.
Yeah, and
GM's
the
not
GM
going.
was just in Colorado.
Yeah,
Yeah, the GM's not going anywhere. I would like to see Dable gone. He just doesn't belong there. He looks like so lackadaisical on the sideline, even when they're losing. Just like McCarthy, he's got to go. Um, I'm looking at Mike Vrabel. Wherever he lands is going to be. I think they become contenders very quickly. I would like for him to land in Dallas. The problem is, I don't know that he's going to want to be up under Jerry Jones and have him all in his business like that. But I would love that to happen. I think Mike Vrabel might end up with Chicago, and I think that's a great fit for him.
yeah, I agree. And I wouldn't I wouldn't put Dion at Chicago with Shador outside the realm of possibilities. And the reason I say that is that some people think that Caleb is, washed. They don't think he's that good. And it's not like it's unprecedented to see back-to-back first-round picks. We saw Arizona do it with Josh Rosen and then Kyler Murray.
Shit,
Um,
Chicago did it.
yeah,
Chicago did it.
exactly. So you could see them firing the GM. They already fired Eberflus, and then getting a new quarterback, and then trading away Caleb to I don't know, the Panthers or some shit. The Raiders or something like that.
I would think Chicago's more of a long shot than anything, just because Dion ain't no reason for uh want to go there. But I mean, I could see this is might be a long shot, and I know Steve might hate it. I could see Jerry trading Dak somewhere that's willing to pay, that feels like they're a quarterback away right now.
No,
I.e.,
no, no, no.
I'm just saying.
Dak has a no trade
That has a
clause.
no trade
Jerry can't
clause.
trade him anywhere
Yeah,
unless
No, no,
Dak
no.
agrees.
I'm listen. This is what I'm saying. You let me cook yet. I could see
My
them
bad. Go ahead.
trading him somewhere because Dak's relationship right now with the team isn't where it was. He's on the sideline saying we fucking suck. He's got, teammates that say underhanded shit to him. Jerry hasn't really shown him, although he's paid him, he's had to wait. The confidence hasn't been there. He hasn't really got Dak any real weapons over the years. I could see possibly if they come to Dak and say, hey, where would you want to go? They
CeeDee
might do
Lamb,
it. Yeah, that's the only one. It's the only weapon they
Yeah,
Ferguson,
got him.
Jake,
I
Jake
could see.
Ferguson.
I could see them talking to Dak about wanting to trade him, but
Dak
I
ain't
don't think
going
Dak
nowhere.
agrees to that shit. He ain't going nowhere.
Dak ain't going nowhere. Jerry's not trading Dak because it's going to be dead cap. It's too much dead cap. He's not going to take the dead cap. I could see, where I could see Dion also is Carolina. I could see him talking Carolina into getting Shador. They trade away Bryce Young. I mean, you're not losing nothing on trading Bryce Young. He's still on his rookie
Nothing
deal.
at all.
You know what I mean? There's no loss there, no love loss. You
And
bring
he's
in
trash.
Deion Sanders. You bring in Deion Sanders. You rebuild that. They got Brooks over there, that kid that they brought in, the running back from last year's draft or this year's draft, if you will. And then you bring in Shador. You got your quarterback, your running back. You got your coach, and now you just got to go find some wide receivers. And you know what I mean? And their defense isn't horrible. It's not great, but it's not horrible. And they're also in a division that's not getting any better. New Orleans isn't getting any better unless they get a quarterback and some wide receivers that put some weight on and don't get hurt every game. Tampa Bay's Baker Mayfield. You're going to hit your peak. Mike Evans is going to be 32, 33 years old next year. So you're going to start to see them decline a little bit. And Atlanta, you got a quarterback who's damn near 40 years old at this point and still has 3 years left on the deal. So I think Carolina has some outlook for Dion to where he can build, and they may not win next year, but 2-3 years out, maybe 2 years out, they could be in a position. I think next year he can get them to 6, 7, maybe 8 wins, on an outside looking in type of thing. And then maybe 2 years from now, they could be potentially in a run for their division that's going to be really weak.
I can give you another potential spot for Dion. I don't know if the Shador thing works though, and that's Miami. And not saying that I want him, but them thinking we need to get a coach who knows how to win, who can, because Miami's a bunch of fucking losers. We don't know how to win. Bring somebody in there who knows how to do
Jeez.
that. As well as I keep telling you guys with Tua's contract or whatever, is
Tell
that
us how you really feel.
is basically after next year, we don't owe him any more money. There's only $3 million in guaranteed money. So if they got rid of him, 3 million dead cap or whatever, which is nothing. But the problem would be like right now we're projected to pick I believe 13th based on like if the season ended today. So I don't know if we would have a high enough draft pick to bring in Shador if that was like a requirement for Dion. But I could see it happening because I think it's very possible that McDaniel gets fired after this season, as well as Chris Greer, the GM, who I've been calling to be fired for like 2 years now.
I think you guys make valid points, but I think at the end of the day, it has to be a market and the situation that satisfies the on the field and the off the field for Dion.
And that's the thing. You might be right there with market when
Carolina
you say
is
the
nice,
Giants.
but
Yeah. When you say
yeah,
the Giants and you
Carolina's
think
nice,
about
but I
market,
mean,
that's perfect. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, yeah, I'm not going to Carolina. I'm not going to Chicago. If I'm Dion and I'm leaving Colorado, where the NCAA is bullshit, and they keep screwing me, but I'm in Colorado where I've built something and I got carte blanche, and I've done this in this little town in Boulder. I'm thinking generational, game changing, LeBron level stuff. I'm going to New York on the biggest stage where I know the lights are going to shine the brightest for me and my kids. And if I win here, I'm immortalized in one of the most historic franchises on paper and one of the biggest markets in the game.
EJ, I hear you, and I think that you make some valid points, but like, you can't just be throwing out stuff like one of the most immortalized franchise. Like, come on, dog. What are we talking about here?
No, I said I would be
Immortalized.
immortal. I said he would be immortalized
in
in
one
that
of the most
franchise.
historic franchises. In like, no, that's not one of the most historic
The
franchises.
Giants is one of the most historic
No,
franchises
no, they're not.
in the league.
No,
It's one of the oldest
stop,
Right,
ones.
right.
stop,
Get your man. Get your man.
It's
Man.
one of the oldest
stop,
ones.
stop.
Oh my gosh. So
Get your
who are the historic franchises in the league? The
Then you
Bears,
got the obvious
Pittsburgh, the
Packers,
Bears,
Bears.
Packers, Pittsburgh, Dallas, San Fran,
Pittsburgh.
Patriots. Um,
The Patriots, the Patriots we only count in recent history. When I'm talking about the
Baltimore.
Giants, they're one of the oldest franchises in the league.
yeah,
Baltimore's
but
only 20 something years old. Baltimore ain't even 30 years old.
Well,
the Lions
remember
are
before
one of the oldest
Before they were in
franchises in the league.
Baltimore, before they were in Baltimore, they were somewhere else. So it's still
They're in
that's still
Indianapolis.
that's it. Still
They
a
were the
historic
Colts.
franchise.
It's not the same. They ain't the same. No, they were the Baltimore
Yeah,
Colts.
but he didn't say historic franchises in that way, like they're old. He's saying it like they're one of
That's what
the.
I said.
Oh, I see what you mean.
That's
Yeah,
that's what I meant. Historic franchise.
He's saying it like he's one
they
of them, like they're one of them teams.
All right, get your man.
They're one of the
That's
oldest
what.
franchises in the league.
Yo, cut his mic
No,
off,
hold
yo.
on. They're one of the oldest. Take your bias out, Steve. They're one of the oldest franchises in the league. They have the championships. You got to go back to like the start of this league.
From a market standpoint, it makes absolute sense.
Yeah, I agree with EJ from all the market stuff he said about how Dion would be a legend. His money would be no good in the city. All that kind. I'm with you on all of those points. My whole thing is just the way that he's describing the Giants franchise. I just totally disagree with.
Yeah, that's why I tried to move on from it. He tried to make the Giants. Try to make the Giants sound like they're Madison Square Garden and shit.
Right.
Oh, the most historic
No,
building ever in sports.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying their first season was 1925. They've been around a long time. That's what I'm saying. They've been around a long time.
I would love to see.
You
Dion
can't deny that.
I would love to see Dion.
I haven't denied it.
Right.
I don't deny their age. They are how
so
old
the
you
Giants,
say they are.
So when you talk about franchises, right? If you're just talking about success, they have, after you talk about the Packers, the Steelers, the Niners, and the Cowboys, the next team with the number of championships is the Giants.
It's the Patriots.
The Giants got 4.
Patriots have 6.
The Patriots.
Pittsburgh.
True.
Pittsburgh has 5.
No, I already said Pittsburgh.
He said Pittsburgh.
I already said Pittsburgh. And I mean, we could argue BP. I mean, historically, this is all recent history for them, right? And how many they could have. The team that beat them is the Giants. So I mean, if you're talking about just those top 5 or 6 teams, the Giants are up there. We talking about championships. The thing I think about their team, they don't make people feel like they're one of those other franchises. They're boring. They're not boring. It's just something about them that just doesn't make them feel like they're nostalgic and attractive to me. But they're up there.
Right, get your man, yo.
I would like talking facts.
I hear you. I just don't agree with you.
I would like to see it. And they say they share a building, yo. Dog, when you get your own building, then you can start talking like that. But y'all share a building with your little brother. It's like having a bunk bed. The Giants and the Jets got a bunk bed.
We're the little brothers. We're the little brothers. They're the big brothers.
I know. Y'all got a bunk bed.
I just think they're just not.
Don't try to bring no shorty home and put her on the bunk bed, yo. What are we talking about here? Yeah, nah, I would love it. I would love to see Dion there, only because not only is it would be good for Dion and for New York sports, but for Dion, but then there's the New York sports aspect. You got the Knicks that are doing their thing, they're making their moves. They got Brunson and the likes of whatever they got going on. The Yankees are doing their thing. We're going to see the Mets probably land Soto if the Yankees don't land Soto. Like, I think it's one or the other, and I think he stays in New York. And then you got Dion with the Giants. The Jets just suck, but, I mean, otherwise, all of the New York sports teams would be doing something. And if the Jets can figure out how to – and you know what? Realistically, shit, what if Dion and Shador ended up with the Jets if Aaron Rodgers finds no way to win another game this year?
I think that would be the better situation in New York than the Giants, and especially because Woody Johnson's getting ready to leave. He's gonna apparently. I haven't heard that he's been nominated, but apparently Trump's gonna put him back in as ambassador to the United Kingdom
England.
and or the Great Britain or whatever. And so the rumor mill is that he basically fired Joe Douglas, fired Saleh, and so that way he can get the new people in place, and then he's handing everything off to his brother so he can head overseas for the next 4 years or whatever, and let the brother kind of handle things or whatever. So I think that would help Dion even more in terms of how EJ said that, like in Colorado, Dion got carte blanche. He would kind of have that in New York, because you'd have an owner who's basically hands off.
Oh, y'all serious? I thought there was a joke in there with the Trump appointing him.
No,
You know.
he was Trump's
He was
ambassador last.
he was his ambassador last time to England, to the United Kingdom.
Oh, well, that's why the Jets suck. Like, what are we talking about?
I think the Jets is way more far fetched than the Giants.
Jets are 3-8. You guys
Um,
got. I think that's a real conversation to be having right now. As a Jets fan, who do you guys have left? I'm pulling up the schedule. I'm
They
not a
got
Jets.
us
I would
twice.
love to see that. I think I'd love to see that better than anything else we've talked about. If Dion and Shador ended up with the Jets, not only, but specifically because they got a good nucleus over there. They got a good running back. They got a good wide receiver. You bring in Shador, who you hope, maybe year one he doesn't look the greatest. But I did still think they win games. You bring in Dion, who's going to change the trajectory of that team, at least the secondary. We see what he does with any secondary he touches. He's the greatest, if not one of the greatest, cornerbacks ever to play the game, or
cornerback.
athletes really to play the game. If you really want to get crazy with it, you got the name talent there. You just don't. It's just not coming together. You guys got Seattle left, which is a losable game. You got Miami left,
Oh yeah,
which is a
we get
losable
killed.
game.
Getting killed.
Jacksonville, you'll probably win, maybe sneak through that one. The Rams is a losable game. Buffalo's a losable game, and then Miami another losable game. At most, you guys are 3-8 now. You could end with 5 wins.
Four wins.
I
say
could
3, but
absolutely see that happening, yo. That is a
I'm gonna say the
realistic
thing.
situation.
I'm gonna say the thing for both franchises, the Giants and the Jets. Neither one will take a black
Coach.
quarterback seriously, let alone a coach. Especially Jets fans. The Giants, though, I could see their fan base being more digestible to it now than probably ever before. Especially being in the position that they're in. So I don't know. We'll
I
see.
think Giants fans are more racist than Jets fans.
Nah, because there are definitely more black Giants fans than there are black Jets fans.
Well,
And
yeah, but
Hispanic
it's not the black ones we're worried
Giants
about.
fan. Not saying
Racist.
that. Yeah,
Look what
but
they did with Tommy DeVito, dog. Like, this dude is
I'm
absolute dog shit.
gonna
And they
say
all here in the stands talking about, hey, paisan, how you doing? How you doing?
Yeah.
Like, fuck. Oh, my God.
yeah, but I'm gonna say there are way more black Giants fans than there are black Jets fans. So you can just you can tell. Trust me. Trust me.
I would like to see that happen. Jets would be great. All right. 2.5 hours. Blew past the deadline. And football starts in 5 minutes. I got to check my lineups.
Oh
So
shit! Man, check my lineup.
while VP does
Mhm.
his outro thing, I'm gonna start pulling them up. I think I looked at most of them over the week to make sure. One of my leagues, fuck, I'm screwed. One
I'm
of my
about to take
leagues
a big
locks.
risk.
One of my leagues locks 10 minutes before, and so I missed that deadline, and I'm stuck now.
I'm about to run
That's
both
crazy.
Tampa Bay running backs at running back and flex.
Bucky Irving, and
And White.
run
They both
Roshan.
They
If you
both
got Brees Hall,
They both did. They both did numbers last week, and my other option is Travis Etienne, and he's just been sucking ass this year.
If you got Brees Hall, he's got a bum knee, and they're letting him play anyway. But
Nah, I ain't got. I don't got
I don't
him.
know.
That means Allen will probably have a good game.
He should.
Yeah, he should
He
be your
should.
second one.
So,
Yeah. I got some situations going on here that could impact my playoff run.
I
my
should have
Thursday
started.
night guys, my Thanksgiving guys, surprise! I hate playing players on Thursday. I usually have bad luck with that, and all my players did good. My lowest point total from a player was 15 points,
Oh
and
yeah, my Dallas
I
Dallas
should have
defense
started
popped
Tua.
up.
I had 6 guys that played on Thursday, and my lowest points I got was 15.
Yeah. My Dallas defense popped up like they were
I should have
supposed
started
to.
Tua.
Yeah, I sat Tua in the league. That kind of hurt me. But
Mm.
yeah, we're gonna see, man.
I
We're
got
gonna see.
Josh Allen, but I don't know.
We get into the meat of it. Pause. And playoff season is right around the corner. So every decision counts right now. Every decision counts, and it can be an impact. So with that, actually, let me see if I got any money in my betting. Let's throw a quick bet in, little parlay action. Arizona, Minnesota. Minnesota's 3.5 points. Favorited. What do you guys think? Would you take money
I'm
line
going.
or take the 3.5?
No, where's the
You know
game?
how the points work.
It's in Minnesota.
Mm.
Minnesota's favorited by 3.5, meaning they got to win by 3.5.
Okay, so they got to win by 4 or more.
Yeah.
I'll go. I would take Minnesota, like to I guess to cover is how you said it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would take them to
I
cover.
would take Minnesota money line
Okay.
or cover.
Houston, Jacksonville. Houston's only a 3.5 point favorite against Jacksonville. I don't know if what's his face is playing. They haven't confirmed, but they said he was questionable. Trevor Lawrence.
I actually saw something on that a second ago from Shefty. Let me find it while y'all talk.
I
Who's
got
their
Houston
backup if he
winning.
doesn't play?
Mac Jones.
Shefty says Trevor Lawrence is active today.
Okay, so I still think Houston wins this
Houston's been
game.
shaky.
They have been, but Jacksonville's shitty. I'm gonna take Houston 180. Indy and New England, I'm not touching that game. Atlanta and the Chargers, I don't want to touch that game. Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, I don't want to touch that game. I'm gonna go Seattle because they got plus odds on the Giants. The Giants actually are, or the Jets rather, are favorited to win that game.
But
Believe it or not. Washington, Tennessee,
absolutely
that's a
stupid.
trap game for Washington.
Yep.
That's a trap game. Rams and New Orleans, that's another one that's kind of weird.
Yep.
All right. All right. I got it in.
Eagles. We got
Ravens and Eagles. That's a tough one, yo.
Yeah.
Because we just talked about it. Lamar Jackson. Well, they got Baltimore favorited as a 3 point at home. But Lamar Jackson doesn't lose to the NFC.
Yeah, but I like the Eagles, man. Like they were my preseason pick to not make the playoffs, and they have been. Saquon has changed that franchise completely, man. This season,
Yep.
I mean, Sirianni looks like a good coach. That's how much Saquon has done.
I don't know if I go that far, but yeah. All right, that's all I got for today. I'm gonna give the reins to VP to get us a
deal with
body.
these kids.
All right, good people. We definitely appreciate everybody for rocking with us for this week's episode of the Casperly Podcast. For the folks who joined live, we appreciate you taking the time out of your weekend. For the folks who will listen once the episode posts, we appreciate that time as well. Like we say all the time, make that phone call, send that text message, reach out to your people. Let them know how you feel about them. Let them know what you're thinking about them, especially around this time of year during the holidays. You just never know where people are in their headspace. So just reach out to your folks and you know, just check on them, man. You know, you'll feel good about it. They'll love you more for doing it. You can find this podcast on all podcasting platforms by searching at Castworthy. You can also follow us on any of our social media by searching at Castworthy. On Instagram, it's at Castworthy_podcast. While you're there, you can leave us a like, subscribe, share, follow, tell a friend to tell a friend, help us grow the audience. We very much appreciate it. With that being said, you know, we will see you guys next week with another fresh episode of the Castworthy Podcast. Until then, we're out. We love you. Peace.